final lore live. Oh, day 13. That zoomed by. Waiting for my people. 13 days. 13 days, and that did not feel like 13 days. I don't know how I expected it to feel. Maybe I felt it to feel more like a commitment or an obligation. It really didn't. It's absolutely lovely. All of it. Oh. I know I sung love letters. Good morning, Jessica. I know I sang love letters to Advent lore yesterday, so I won't continually sing love letters today, but it's been a good time. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Hi, Marie. Good morning. Hi, Heather. Hi, Sean. Hi, Robin. Sad that it's the last day, right? I mean, but I mean, you know, we'll be back next year. We will be back next year, and I'll do live format again next year because I really loved, oh, hi, Lisa. Hi, Lisa's husband. Good morning. Hi, Tess. Hi, Melanie. I was listening to French rap last night, Melanie. I thought of you. I'm like, I don't know what they're saying. I bet Melanie knows what they're saying. I should send it to you. Good morning, Kate. Good morning, Vanessa. Hi, Victoria. I don't even have an Advent, and I'm sad it's ending. Oh, Victoria, I'm so glad you're here. Oh, Robin, why are you not wearing the lovely sweater today so we can all comment on it? Punishment, obviously. I'm pouting. No, I'm kidding. Drinking the tea from the True North. I meant to bring up, I had this funny plan. I have this mug that looks just like a booty. And you guys know my love for the booty mug. But I am like, I'm still waking up. Oh, and the earrings. What earrings? What earrings? Hold on. She gave us a chance. We failed. Yeah, no more hand knits for you guys. You don't get to see them anymore. Hi, Gladys. Good morning. Kaylee, what earrings? You guys should see the earrings that Dot from Busted Button made me. Hold on. Oh, from Seawolf and Sage. I know. I could go get the booty mug. I could go get the earrings. Listen, I had these grand plans. I had some super grand plans, okay? I was going to have my fun booty mug. I was going to have my Seawolf and Sage earrings. And then Shaba started throwing up at midnight. That's my dog. He and I went through the night together. I think the last time I got up with him was 3 a.m. So, okay. Not your fault. You distracted us with the mink. The mink was pretty awesome. So this morning, I kind of like woke up at like 8. And I was like, thank goodness that, you know, I'm going to say this morning, I'm very grateful for under eye concealer. I'm very grateful for hot coffee. Very grateful for, I got a little bit of moment with coffee with my son before he headed off to school. And he heard all my stories. It was a really funny story, but look, like we're shellacked. Yeah, you don't see 3 a.m. here. That's right, some powerful under eye concealer. But I do feel a little giggly. So hopefully I don't come across as totally mental on this live this morning. You never know. It could have happened anyway. But sleep deprived Melly, ooh, all bets are off because the filter is gone. I used up all my big filter leaves. I might have like tiny filters to catch like the really obvious stuff, but like the big overall filter, you know, it's gone. Filters down, shields are down. So we're just gonna so don't ask me any pointed questions. Okay. I'm just kidding, ask me what you want. Here's what Dot made me. Look at my little Christmas present from Dot. Aren't those absolutely incredible? Still can't find heckin' David, but he's here. His presence is with us. I love him. She also made me these strange ones. You know what? I gotta show you the earrings because they're gonna be going out in a giveaway after Christmas, but I love this with my whole entire heart. Okay, good morning for anybody who is new to what this is. This is Advent lore, where we come together and we open up the various days of the wool advents that I made this year, and we talk about them. We talk about how I made it. We talk about the breed, any stories, any backstories that go into like getting the wool, antidotes, little isms. It's the whole thing. We do this whole thing. So basically, I have made 2 advents. One's called Delightful. That one's done. We finished it yesterday. And one's called True North. And these are advents that are little daily blobs that are made from hand-washed wool. So that's my big job. I'm a hand wool washer, wool hand washer. Wool, yes, I hand wash wool. And then we card it up on big machines, like you can see next to me. This one's been in use. I worked late last night. We card them up and then we get them out to hand spinners. So everyday hand spinners through Delightful have been able to try a fine wool breed 2 ways. So like plain and then with something. And then we'll move on to another fine wool breed, plain and with something. And then for True North, they've been able to spin across Canada, starting in Newfoundland. We headed over to British Columbia, up to the Yukon, and today we're gonna go into Nunavut. That's where we're gonna go today. Very excited. Now, here's something I need to preface, okay? I've always called it none of it. None of it. That's how I've always said it. Then I was talking to Rebecca Osborne when I was in Calgary, she actually lives there. She calls it Nunavut. 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 We hear different pronunciations for it depending on where you are in Canada or who's actually trying to be accurate. I'm going to call it Nunavut this morning. Nunavut, because that's the way Rebecca told me to say it, okay? And so that's how we're calling it. In case you're unfamiliar with Nunavut, it actually wasn't even called that when I was a kid. There wasn't a Nunavut when I was filling out my Canada calendars when I was a kid. That happened later on. And that is accurate, right? I don't ever remember doing that. I deeply remember Saskatchewan because you could never fit it. When you had to write it into the province, you always had to write it this way. But, oh, Melanie sounds more like the French pronunciation. That's what she said, Nunavut. Is that how you say it? Okay, so Rebecca lives there. She's a part of the community up there. So I feel like when she told me how to say it, I'm just going to say it her way. But okay, so that's where we're headed today. We are headed there with True North for our final day of True North, tracking across this great big country. We're heading to this last territory, which is like super cool. We said goodbye to the Delightful, but we still got this. Danielle, I think it was all Northwest Territories when we were kids. Yeah, that's what I remember too. And then at some point it changed and it became Nunavut. And now we have mixed ways of saying it all the way across the country. Fun fact, no roads to Nunavut. You cannot drive there at all. You have to fly in. That's the only way you can get in. There are no roads. If you were to head straight up through Manitoba or straight up through the provinces that are beneath it, you can't just drive in. I thought that, Cali, Nunavut was there when I was a kid. Can someone Google, now that I've brought this stupid fact, is it my tired brain? I am feeling a little sweaty, even though I'm just sitting still. Jessica D, 1999? Well, now I need to know how old Cali is. 1999. I was in grade 10. I think it was established in 1999. Yeah, I was in grade 10. I was past the era of filling out the little the little Canada maps. But why are we talking about this morning? I just find it interesting. Maybe it's just interesting. Okay, because that's where we are today. Brand new, started elementary school. Kaylee, she was 4. Okay, so you did have Nunavut on your calendar when you were a kid. I didn't. I did not. It wasn't there. But hey, we're so happy it's there now. Also, just to say it again, Iki Iki, who is the Inuk artist who did these bags for True North and for Delightful, she's up in Nunavut as well. Oh, Robin, she had grandchildren in 1999. I love it. No age in the wool world. We're all just friends. Okay, Here we go. These are done by an artist in Nunavut. So our whole entire, Nellie, I was in university. Hi Nellie, good morning. Our whole entire advent for both were wrapped up in art from this great territory. And we're gonna end in this great territory, okay? So that's what we're doing. So we're gonna get right onto it and we're gonna open up day 13. Day 13, the last one. We're here, we're here, we're here. In the wool club, in the wool clerb, we all fam. In the clerb. I gotta put that. I have to put that in. That's the way the description is gonna start for this video on YouTube. In the clerb, in the wool clerb, we're all fam. Okay, here we go. So here's the last day of True North, taking us to Nunavut. Let's talk about this one. Let's look. Color. Ooh, hold still, Melly. Hold still so everybody can see. There's today's True North color. Isn't that color nuts? It's very, very chocolate. It's very, very pretty. But it's kind of like, it's dark chocolate. This isn't like milk chocolate where it's like kind of warm and whatnot. It's like this really cool, beautiful chocolate. And here's our lock. We love it. We love it. Oh, I'm trying to get that to, come on. We got real gray lighting today. Camera's working its butt off. Look at this. Look at this. Isn't that a really pretty lock? We love it. It's so good. It's so good. Okay, let's talk about this. I could not find alpaca in Nunavut. They don't have it there. They don't have any kind of livestock. This is tundra, right? Or like Arctic. This is Arctic stuff and tundra. This is, it's stunning. If you ever get a chance to take a peek at like if you ever get a chance to take a peek at like people who post pictures from there and all that kind of stuff, they do have like flora and fauna. Like they've got wild like plants and wildlife and everything, but you're not going to find like livestock up there. You're not going to find llamas and sheeps and everything else. So I couldn't get llama. I'm sorry, I couldn't get alpaca. Couldn't do it on this beautiful fleece. So what did I do? What did I get? I got kiviot. Ooh, that's what they have up there. I mean, I had other options too. I could have tried to find like some Arctic fox and there was like some other things. But remember how I mentioned Rebecca from Rebecca Osborne Fibers? So she's connected with Rachel Smith from Wool and Spinning. They do the spinning circle together and all that kind of stuff. And I reached out to Rebecca and I was like, hey, what can I find? I want Nunavut to be included, because my first thought was, all right, well, I'm not going to be able to get fiber from Nunavut. I can't get anything there. They don't have it. So I guess, the bag will be the representation. This will be how Nunavut is included in this Advent. I wanted it included. It's a part of, you know what I mean? Like it wouldn't be the True North Advent if it wasn't included. But then I did reach out to Rebecca and I was like, anything? Like, do you know of anything? And then she was like, yeah, like I got kiviot. She had the hookup. So sometimes kiviot is foraged for, okay? Oh, Giselle, I feel so lucky now with my trash vent. Did you get the trash vent that had 2 day 13s? One of them had 2 day 13s. And I was like, So I reached out to Rebecca and I got a little bit of a lesson. So she said that you can get the foraged stuff, which is when the kiviots kind of rub up against trees and fence posts and people can go around and pick it, but it's like a lesser quality. This would be considered harvested. So the indigenous folks up there are hunting and then they brush the animals. And so it's all harvested at the time where the kiviot is its best, where the fiber is its best. So this is the offering that we have in this beautiful spin. And it came to me, so I went to Knit City, Calgary. I was vending there, and Rebecca and Rachel were visiting. And Rebecca was like, hey, I will bring the kiviot with me. So this is like hand harvested kiviot, guys, like from anyway, I'm so excited. So she's like, I will bring the Kiviat with me when I come down. And I was like, heck yeah, that's like the greatest. So it even got wool trafficked, you know? We love the wool trafficking network. And she brought me this big bag of Kiviat, and it needed to be dehaired. So I gave it to my Thursday friend, Melody. You guys have never met Melody. I only really refer to her as my Thursday friend. She's been coming over for coffee every Thursday for like 15 years. Not every Thursday, but you know what I mean. That's the day we get together. And she is like the most meticulous picker ever, ever, ever. And so she ended up taking this bag home and dehairing it. It's got these big long guard hairs in it, although I wouldn't say this one had too much of that. I've had raw Kiviat before that really has been quite, I guess now I can see the quality difference, because I have had raw Kiviat before where I felt like it was kind of all hair, whereas this one didn't have a ton of the big daddy hairs. Like I'm talking they're this long, okay? But it has like these sort of medium length hairs that are about this long, and you got to kind of go through the down and pull them out. I do still have, do I still have Kiviat here? I do. I've got a little baggie in the closet if you guys want to see what it looks like raw, or so what it looks like before I've processed it. My guts, folks, you get to actually handle just the Kiviat because you have blob of Kiviat in your guts. Hold on. Remembering a live Melly did last year, she was dehairing Kiviat. Yeah, that wasn't fun. That took forever. So this year, hold on, going into my cave of wonders. Where is this Kiviat? I thought I had Kiviat. Now you're all just watching me dig through a cupboard on my live. I'll tell you, the professionalism. CVM. I know I've got a bag of Kiviat. I had a little left. Oh, that's possum. Hey, I still got possum from last year. Hey, hold on. Where are you, dear sweet Kiviat? Where did you go? No, that's Yak. That's Luna the dog. What the heck? I didn't use it all. Dang it! It would be in the bottom. I didn't use it all. We all talking amongst ourselves while I dig in my closet. What is this? What did I miss? I wonder if the Kiviat naturally shed has less guard hairs. Let's see. Oh, someone got a paper bag filled with Kiviat hand-picked off the tundra. Oh, and you lost it. Oh, no. Oh, it's with David. My Kiviat's with Wow, you guys are funny this morning. You guys are on it. Okay, can't find the Kiviat. Never mind not showing you the Kiviat. Oh, but now that closet door is going to bother me. Hold on. Hold on. Oh, we got it. Okay. That's where I keep all my treasures. I have these 3 big bins, and one is for like silks, and one is for like all my halos, and I've got, they're organized differently, but anyway. David took the Kiviat with him when he left. To describe it, it's super, super short. It's super, super soft, and it's a really pretty kind of like cool milk chocolate color. So there you go. Lol, I want to visit the wool room. It's packed full of treasure. It is. I've got some fun stuff in here, and like just the tiniest bit of possum from last year. I just found it in that bag. I should do something with that. Okay, so here's our beautiful color. Now let's talk about the wool that this is in, because we've talked about the Kiviat. 5 times warmer than wool. Beautiful. There are some suppliers in Canada where you can get Kiviat from. So Kiviat Inc. is one that comes to mind. It's an Indigenous owned company, and so I bought quite a bit of Kiviat last year. This is when I was learning about Kiviat quality stuff, okay? I bought Kiviat last year from a couple different sources, and some were less money, but the Kiviat almost showed up like with little white balls in it. And I was like, I don't know if I wanted to. Oh, Cecilia's here. Oh, yes, her markers. Oh, yes, her markers. That was a good open yesterday. There was so anyway, we're talking about the quality of the Kiviat. This Kiviat that's in here, so for you True North folk, that have it guts, okay? So you've got your blob of wool and you've got your guts. I want you to know you are looking at some of the, I would say this is the nicest quality kiviot I've ever seen, that I've handled personally. And I haven't handled a lot. I've handled maybe like, this is the 6th kiviot I've handled from different areas or places that I've gotten it. Out of the 6, this was the nicest I've ever handled. So we have huge thanks to Rebecca for like offering to sell me this beautiful hand harvested kiviot that she has from up in Nunavut. Oh my gosh, super gorgeous. Oh, I love all this. I've got this beautiful, there's all this beautiful happening in the comments where everyone's just thanking Cecilia for her gorgeous stitch marker. That was stunning. That stitch marker. Ooh, love it. I should have worn the earrings this morning. Guys, it's the 3 a.m., okay? I promise the booty mug would have been funny and the earrings would have been great, but I can't get my brain to hold it all together. Okay, so now let's talk about the wool. The wool is from Ontario. We got our beautiful pebble, the alpaca came from Ontario, and now we're looking at the wool. So this is Cali, and Cali is from Crow Hill Corriedales. And this fleece was the first fleece I got for True North. So it was offered, like found and like, do you want this? Oh, hold on. They're asking Cecilia, will you make some stitch markers to sell? Yeah. Will you? Because like, I'm going to lose mine. Not on purpose. I never lose them on purpose. They leave. They leave with David. That's just what happens. Okay, sorry, back to the wool. I'm distracted by how beautiful this chat is right now. I'm loving the enthusiasm, and I'm loving like there's like a gratefulness. Like it's so beautiful. Okay, sorry, back to the wool. This is Cali the Corriedale, and she was found for me by my friend at Stitch and Steel Homestead, who's out in Ontario, and I've bought some really beautiful fiber from them and had that in my shop. And then she contacted me and she was like, hey, so another local lady I know, she's got all these gorgeous Corriedales. I'd never heard of Crow Hill Corriedales before. And she said, do you want a Corriedale? I got this giant Corriedale. And she sends me this picture of this fleece, like draped over like a king size bed or something. It was crazy. Like it was like drying out. I was like, oh my gosh, it was monster. This thing was huge Corriedale fleece. And I was like, yeah, I want that. So eventually it took a little bit for us to connect on just getting it shipped, blah, blah, blah. And she mailed it to me. So I didn't actually deal with Crow Hill Corriedales directly because Stitch and Steel Homestead found it, brought the fleece home, and then boxed it up and mailed it to me. And it is some of the nicest Corriedale I've worked with. I was like, go Canada. Like, we've got this here. This is beautiful. That's an overarch for me with True North, is how much I was like, hey, look at how nice this is. Look at how nice this is. We love this. So this was absolutely stunning, a gorgeous example of the breed. So since then, I have reached out to Crow Hill Corriedales because I was like, well, if this is this nice, like what else do they have out there? She's got rovings. So if you want to buy like 100 grams or like a pound of roving or something like that, and her prices were like really good. So I did a sampling of her rovings that she had at the mill. Guys, sometimes it is more financially beneficial to the shepherd, not in all cases, but to buy their milled rovings. If they send a fleece to the mill and get it back, and then they add like a little markup to that, and buying that way, it can sometimes be just, I'm just putting that out there. So if you see shepherds are offering raw, but they're also like, and I have these rovings, I'm almost always gonna be like, sure, I'll take some rovings, right? Like, and put those on there. And some of them come back and they're just absolutely gorgeous. So I haven't seen these yet because, oh, I also got raw fleece. I got a bunch of raw wool from her. She had like this idea, she wanted to send me like a pound of a couple different things. And hey, new flock to me. Other than Cali, I haven't tried anything. So she made me this like whole pack with rovings and different raw fibers and put it in the mail. And then our postal system went on strike. So it didn't get here in time. It's probably sitting at the depot in Surrey because she sent it quite a bit before they went on strike. But so it's not here. I haven't actually been able to play with it. But I have high hopes and high expectations of this gorgeous Corriedale. When it does get here, when her box gets here with her rovings and stuff, I'll show you guys because I'm really excited to explore this farmer more. I mean, and thank you to Stitch and Steel Homestead for like finding this and being like, I think this is really good. Do you want it? I would never have found out about Crow Hill Corriedale. So yet another story of yet another friend in a province just throwing me a solid and helping me out. And I am massively, massively appreciative of that. So, okay, processing this fleece. Processing this fleece. Okay, what I do remember from this one was I did end up with, what did I end up with? It was a huge fleece. I washed the whole thing. So I think, did Cali end up, is she in the, no, I don't think she went into the True North Waitlist blend. I can't even remember now, but you know where she is because I had leftovers of her fleece. She is right here. I'm putting her in my Sneaky Chaos update. That's her. That's her chaosed up. Isn't she pretty? So this same beautiful fleece that's day 13, I have chaos the rest of her for my chaos shop update. So anyway, coming at you at a sneaky time that I'm not saying. Okay, is there any special prep for Kiviot besides the picking? Did you wash it? Okay, did I wash this Kiviot? Did Rebecca wash this Kiviot? I think I washed this Kiviot. I washed it. I'm blurring because I washed like dog and wallaby and I think I washed the Kiviot. Wait, or I washed last year's Kiviot? Okay, I have washed Kiviot. I think I washed this Kiviot. No special, nothing special. All right, so for washing the Kiviot, it was like, I think I had a pound. I had 400 and something grams. And I just filled my bucket. I did 1 tablespoon of Power Scour on hot water and I just whoosh. And then that's all you need. You're just actually just washing a dirty animal. You're not scouring anything out. And so you guys asking for secrets for the update? Listen, I provided a hint. I'm saving everything that I make for this update to a little highlight bubble that has a specific name. That's on you guys to sort out the highlight bubble's name and how you feel about that. And that's the only hint you are getting, even though you are here with me and I do love you all dearly. So go look at the highlight bubble. Not now, stay with me. And you determine for yourself when you think I'm going to be putting these bats out. Okay, so washing Kiviot. It was a 1 soak and then a couple of rinses and then passing it off to a friend who sits and literally just pulls hairs out by hand. Literally just pulls hairs out on hand. Tracy, what's everyone's opinions on spinning these advents on an e-spinner versus manual wheel? I learned how to spin on an e-spinner. That's what I spun on like exclusively for, I don't know, 2 years before I got a Magicraft Susie used. And that's the only wheel I have. I'm not really like a big wheels collector. So I think you could spin it on either. I think you should spin it on whichever one brings you the most joy. That's what I think you should do. Personal opinion. Okay, washing Kiviot, no big deal. Blending Kiviot, it can be, because it's so short and because it's a down fiber, so I didn't have an issue, I did not have an issue blending it. It doesn't take flight. It does stay right into whatever it is you're blending it into. I've blended into a couple different types of fleece now. Kiviot seems pretty happy to get along with its new friend. The one thing I would say is I did have a True Norther who was carding and they didn't read their tag. They thought it was alpaca. They're like, I'm really having a hard time with day 13's alpaca, like getting it to blend. And I was like, that's Kiviot. like, oh my gosh. They hadn't looked at the label close enough. So here we go, by the way. Here's your label for today, for our last one. I just put sourced by Rebecca Osborne because I don't actually know where Rebecca got it. Just that it was from there and that it was hand harvested. So blending it, that's going to be curious. I want to hear back from like my 72 TPI homies. It is going into a fleece that I felt was going to be good to carry it regardless of what kind of carder you have. But you might, because it's so short, there could be where you maybe don't get it to blend as smooth. Like the Kiviot fiber is pretty significantly, like it's one of the shortest downs that I've worked with. So just would be curious about that, to hear back from my Guts folks who have been carding it. Because I only heard from this one person who was just, you know, struggling a little bit with blending her day 13 alpaca. And I recommended a couple more slow passes and keeping everything really thin. That's always going to be my recommendation, right? Like get it thin to encourage the blend. It's the croissant technique, right? Layers. And then processing Cali, no special notes, great fleece to process, not particularly dirty, blah, blah, blah. Oh, here we go. It was tricky to make it stick to the drum carder, so I actually placed a decent amount directly on the carder at first. Oh, Nelly, it took a few passes, but it blended well on my 72. I was skeptical because of the short length, but it totally worked. Well, there you go. Our Guts folks have arrived in the chat and told us it's blending well. I don't know that I was the best. I'm the best to speak to if it was going to be a good blend, just because, you know, I'm working on some serious carders. But plus lots of drafting between each pass. Okay, yeah, so you guys are doing it. Thin, your thin sheets, your croissant, your layers, you're getting it going. So that's it. We talked about Cali, talked about how I got her. Thank you, big thank you to Stitch and Steel Homestead. I'll link them in the bio too. As I special thank in the caption area, or whatever we call it, the description, everyone who helped me. So if you guys want to go and see who helped me, you can click on their little websites if they have one or something like that. But I like to get my special thanks to my people because I am remarkably helped. And that's really important to me to say that out loud all of the time. We talked about the fiber, where I got it, washing it, carding it, no notes. The Kiviot, where I got it, preparing it. I didn't pick it this year. Ha! Thank you, Thursday Friend. Thank you, Thursday Friend. She sat forever. She had to just work on it in phases, but she did such a good job. This was very, very well prepared Kiviot. And sorry, I can't find, I have like the tiniest bit left over I wanted to show you guys, but whatever. If I do find it, and David and all these other things I'm missing, I'll show you guys all at the same time. Okay, so that's officially it. That is the end of the Advents. We have reached day 13. We love Nunavut. We're loving this Kiviot offering. I like that we still got to have Nunavut in the Advent as fiber. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it would have been okay if I couldn't have found fiber there. Because even saying like Arctic fox, but like you don't just go find Arctic fox, right? Like I was Googling these things and looking for these things, and so, but having this resource with Rebecca and her being like on the ground there and like knowing sources was like super helpful. So there we go. We did it. We did it. We opened wool for True North straight across Canada. And I love that the alpaca led the way. That was sort of fun. I thought that was really interesting too, to highlight like how many cool flocks and cool herds of alpaca that we have here. Let's talk about washing alpaca. Anybody want to know what I ended up doing? So I used to, because I told you guys I was going to talk about this in day 13. So my method, before True North, I had like washed some alpaca, but I had never done large quantities, and I didn't like washing alpaca. So I kind of was like, I buy the rovings, like even on my bio on my website, I'm like, we get raw wool and like blah, blah, blah. And like, if we can get, you know, rovings for alpacas from farms, like it has to be from farms. I don't want to get rovings like commercially processed from like overseas or whatever, because you can. But in Canada, we have so much alpaca that I don't want to have to, I want to get it from here if I can. So I would source alpacas from locally. And then when I was doing this project, there were so many of the providers that didn't have roving. They're not sending their alpaca to get it processed at the mill. The cost can be really high, or you don't meet the minimums, or there can be lots of challenges there. And so these alpaca farmers have the raw supplier. They can sell me a pound or whatever it may be. The other thing I found was that some of the rovings that were available were blended with 20% merino. And that's a really common practice because not many people make 100% alpaca roving. Like if you want to sell it as a final spinning project, then you're going to want to, like they infuse a bit of wool in it. It's a real common practice. But I didn't want to get alpaca with merino in it for the True North Advent because then it wouldn't be all Canadian, right? And I was being really specific about that. So then I'm like, okay, so we're buying raw. Like I'm going to be getting raw from quite a lot of places, and we did. We got raw from, yeah, a lot of these farms. And then it just so turned out I have a friend named Christopher at Flannel and Pearls, and he has just taken to scouring and washing, and we talk a lot about scouring and washing. And he had bought some alpaca at a local fair, and he had talked to the shepherd, and the shepherd said, here's what you got to do. So he passed this information on to me. And again, I had washed alpaca before, but I didn't like the process of it. And I found I had to rinse it so many times. And I was like, this is annoying, right? Because they're really dusty. They dust bath. And I was like, so I do the scour and it's like rinse, 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 rinse until the water is clear. And I fought for my life once on this Surrey alpaca from up north. And anyway, I just was kind of like, avoid if I can. Too much work. And then Christopher talks to this alpaca farmer who goes, here's what you got to do. Do your first wash, take it out of the bag and squeeze it really hard. Bye Heather, have fun at work. Squeeze it really, really hard. Like press it, get the water out, and then open the fiber up, like while it's still wet and damp. Like get in there with your hands and like open it. And the farmer said, I know you might think that handling it wet like that would felt it. It does the opposite. Like just, it's gonna make it easier. Open the fiber. So I'm like, okay. Like I wouldn't have thought to do that, right? Like I wouldn't get in there with this alpaca, but it makes sense now because it clumps, right? Like hair, it clumps into like these solid little masses. So no wonder it takes so much to get it rinsed. So I did that and I sat there and I opened it. So I took the bag out of the bucket, like you guys see me do, and then I pressed it into the bottom of the tub, like full body weight, like I'm standing over, like I do with my wools, and I'm just pushing. Okay, I'm never squeezing like this. I kind of push the bags and I lean right over and I'm using all my body weight down, opening it still in hot water or once it's cooled. So, okay, so it goes into the scour bucket with one. So I did, sorry, let me start again. Half a pound at a time. Don't do a full pound of alpaca. She said, do half a pound at a time max. So, for my Americans, half a pound. For us in Canada here, like 225 grams kind of deal, right? Half a pound, not a pound. So that was another thing I was doing differently when I was washing, is I would just scour a pound. Oh, it doesn't have lanolin, and then rinse it a billion times to get the dust out. And it was annoying. So she said half a pound at a time. So I would do these half-pound buckets. I did full hot water and a tablespoon of power scour in every single one, okay? And dump, and let them sit for 20 minutes. I pull it out of the bucket, so it's hot. I press into the bottom of the tub to get as much water out as I can. And I did scour just at my full scour temp that I would scour wool at. Kaylee's saying you can do it less temperature if you want. I went full bore because I'm like, let's just wash this thing, right? So I squeezed, and then I opened the bag. Well, it's still hot and steamy, and I opened it. So that's the part that felt sort of counterintuitive because we don't handle wool when it's hot and wet, right? We're going to felt it. And this farmer was like, I know, but just do that. So I did it. Christopher's sharing the information with me, and I'm like, thank you, friend. And so I'm opening it all up, and I'm like, all right. And then I put it in for its first rinse. And I did again, full hot water, and I sat it in for its first rinse, and took it out, pressed it again, and this time I ran it through my spin cycle. This is also what she said to do. I ran it through my spin cycle. So I have one of those Panda spin dryers. Game changer. I do have a top loading machine, and that's what I used to use to spin, but the Panda spin dryer has such high RPMs, like it's just so much faster. It spins at a way higher rate than my washing machine does. And I found that it really gets the water out. So I ran it through my spin dryer after the first rinse, opened it all up again. Second rinse, water is clear. The water is clear. And I was like, are you serious? Like, I'm not gonna sit here and rinse it like 7 times and the whole time be worried I'm gonna felt this alpaca? Clear. I washed every alpaca that I had to wash for the advent just like that. So I get back to Christopher and I'm like, game changer, bro. Like, thank you for telling me this conversation he had with the shepherd, because like, game changer. I only want to buy raw alpaca now. It's so much fun to wash. It goes so fast, even though you're doing half a pound at a time. So I can get the 4 buckets going, gets me 2 pounds of alpaca washed, right? Because I'm half a pound per bucket and I do 4 at a time. But I'm only doing the 1 scour, a rinse, a spin, and a rinse, and I'm done. And then it goes, and the water is clear. And I was like, it was a game changer. Okay. So I can like recap that somehow for you guys. I don't know if Christopher saved the resource of this conversation he had somewhere that I could link. I can ask him later, but like, thank you, Christopher. This is the fun part about having fellow fiber friends. It's like, okay, I've been doing this for what, 6 years? That's nothing. I know people who've been doing this for like 40 years, right? There's always something to learn from each other. You never arrive and you're never an expert. I wash a high volume of wool in a year. High volume. I'm over 1,000 pounds. I keep trying to add it up, but like I stopped doing my tick marks down in the garage at some point. But okay, Christopher has a scouring highlight saved. But did he save the alpaca stuff there? Because I'll send you guys to him if he's already got it done. I won't redo it, but he probably does. So perfect. Jessica says he's got it there. I'll find the link and I'll put it in this description. He's also really good at explaining things. So way more of a teacher vibe than I have. But like, I guess my point here is, in wool, there should be no room, in my opinion, for like gatekeeping or ego. You never arrive. There's always something to learn. There's always some other fleece that's doing a thing. Like, oh, I've washed 20 Corriedales. And then your 21st Corriedale is a heckin' weirdo with a challenge, right? Like, there's always something to learn while you're doing this. And that's what makes it so engaging and fun. Because I remember being on the Wool and Spinning podcast, and she goes, I told her I have these cycles of washing wool and carding wool and getting the wool out the door. And she goes, like, what helps keep it interesting? Like, if you're just doing the same thing all the time, like the wool. The wool keeps it so interesting because these sheep are growing like super unique fleeces. And it's always getting my brain working, right? Like I'm watching for things the whole entire time I'm processing. And so I may have a greater level of, say, actual hands-on experience, but I don't think that we ever level up to like mastering it, I guess you could say. Because even I have to rescour stuff, and even I'm washing dog for the first time, and even I'm having conversations with a friend who's passing along information from that someone else has, and we're all getting better at it because we're doing that. And so I think that's really exciting. And speaking of wool and spinning, for anybody who missed it, she did her long wool revolution. If you haven't spun the day, whatever we had cola in, and you were curious about approaching a long wool and a Cotswold, she did put that resource out there. Just speaking of resources, right? Of people who are out there to resource. And her Patreon is awesome for anybody who wants to learn more of the technical aspects or get better desired results out of your wools and stuff. Just putting it out there. Rachel's a friend, and I do love Rachel. And I did ask her about that long wool thing, so I just thought I'd say it. But just in the light of like community and learning from one another, and for anyone who's ever been in my DMs on a fleece diagnostic, maybe you're here. I do a lot of diagnostics with people in my DMs. Like, what's going on with this fleece? What's this white stuff? I'm like, oh, babe, that's dandruff. But we can check if it's scurf. Here's how. And like, we help each other, right? And we get through it. So in this, with the alpaca washing, Christopher sharing that information with me, Christopher having that conversation with a shepherd I would never meet because I'm not at this market in wherever he was really helpful, total game changer. And now I'm on here sharing it with all of you. Half a pound, scour. Take it out and press it. Open it all up. Put it back in for a rinse. Take it out, spin it, open it all up, put it in for your last rinse. Boom, you're done. Mystified. I'm still mystified. And I'm super grateful for friends who share information. So there's my rant. There's Melly's little rant this morning on the fiber community and how awesome it is and how much there is always going to be to learn. So, like this Advent, okay? We learned about dog. I learned about dog fiber this Advent and processing dog fiber. Earlier this year, I learned about cotton. I went on a cotton journey and still haven't mastered that one, but we're getting there. We're figuring it out. Okay, guys, we've closed out day 12. I talked to you about the alpaca. Giselle, now I'll be looking for more alpaca at the annual alpaca festival. Look for it. Get a pound. Just get 1 pound. Separate it. Do this method. Boom, done. Gorgeous alpaca. Like the fact that I've got this big bag of like pebble and I've got like shucks up here and now I've got these locks. You just pick them open like wool and feed. I'm loving it. I actually really love taking the alpaca back to the raw form. And I'm like, I was using rovings this whole time from farms, which is awesome. But I like being able to take it back and do it now from the raw form. Of course I do, right? Like, duh, that's going to suit me perfectly. And so, yeah, there is tips from me, from Christopher, from the farmer that he talked to. Boom, you guys have this information. So big thanks to the chain involved in sharing that information along. All right, does anybody have specific questions about me making this Advent that you're curious about, or do you just want me to start at the beginning? What do you want to know? This is the thing, because I've got lots of things that last night I was even thinking about, like talking about, but I was like, is there something specific that's interesting to folks, or do I just jibber jabber and yibber yabber and take you to my board and tell you about how I mentally organized it or whatever else? The information sharing keeps the craft alive. Absolutely. What was your fave fleece from True North and Delightful? You're asking me to pick my favorite child? Oh, no. I don't, I got to think on that one. Oh, I just missed a question. Can I scroll down? I can scroll down. I just find this out. Oh, Robin says Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Robin. Were you planning to knit with your beauties? We're all lifelong learners. 100%. Go with your gut. My favorite. Shoot. I don't know, man. Like, just the wool that like speaks to my spinning preferences the most. My favorite to like process because it didn't hurt my feelings or make me work too hard. Oh no, what was my favorite? Kaylee, you know what? I'm gonna do a post. You know those flat lay pictures I've been doing every day? I got little squares of them. I'm gonna do a post showing all the different days of Advent. I'm gonna think about it, and just as the blobs, okay? And I'm gonna post about it in there. Because I gotta think True North through. I think I'm gonna decide based on which one I had the most joy spinning. And the one that like I just wanna hold the yarns a little bit closer to my heart. So give me a little minute on that one. Here's something I showed you guys yesterday that I'm gonna show you again today. The mood board for Delightful as I was going through the fleece. The agony, by the way, for Delightful and me with choosing color to go together, because I do intend for this, for people to want to knit these into like a unified thing. So here's our Polworth, our Canadian Fine, our Bond, how Nui, this is the Colonel Sanders, and then this is the Cormo. Getting the color story. So how the Advent will begin for me is at the beginning of the year. I'm already thinking, like I told you guys yesterday, I already have next year's color story in my head. Can I do it though? And I've got ideas about exotics I want to put in there. And can I get them though? And I've got 2 of the exotics here already. One is actively being de-haired. And and I'm kind of like making these future plans, and I'm trying to get things, and I'm contacting folks, and I'm thinking it all through. And then there's like the actuality of doing it though, because my original color story for True North was grayer than this, and it was more of a scale. But then as I actually had fleece come in and you see the nuances in these natural colors, you're like, oh, you know, a medium gray fleece isn't just a medium gray fleece. It's a medium gray fleece that's got a warm tone or a cool tone or something like that. If Shaba's not in it next year, I don't want it. Oh, okay, they'll get you a Shaba back. So then you're starting to really look, and I really look because I love an Advent that allows me to make a unified thing. I'm not really a great, I wouldn't consider myself to be someone who's very in tune with color. I'm there, I can see it and I know what I like and don't like, but like there are people out there who author color, okay? They are authors of color. One of them's here in our chat, Melanie Allaire is here. She's a color author. And then like my friend Megan from Bramble Ridge, color author. And there's certain people that are gonna speak to you differently in the colors that they author, the art that they create, the palettes they enjoy. And that's how come we're more drawn to certain indie dyers, or we're more drawn to certain pieces of art on our walls, or certain colors that we're even gonna wear. And so for me, I don't know that I'm not a color author, right? But I know if I like something or I don't like something, but I won't necessarily know why. So in my mind, I had this idea for where this was gonna go. And then as different fleece showed up, I had different experiences and had to really look. So Delightful did include some pivots. So someone just asked me, what do you do when you pivot? And is that what I got asked in the plan? Does it go right? Hold on, let's go back up and see what that question was specifically. How easy is it to pivot when something doesn't go to plan? Okay. A lot didn't go to plan this year on the Advent. This one, okay. I'm going to use my words carefully because I only want to bring encouragement to this space. Lift up my shepherds and all that kind of stuff. True North, the journey to True North was really, really windy. Getting those fleece in, getting shepherds to email me back, getting in contact with people who are not online, getting different breeds, right? Because I didn't want to have breed overlaps. I didn't want to have 4 Romneys. I didn't want, even the Romneys everywhere. It's all over Canada. I could have had 6, 10 Romneys, but like, or Dorsets or whatever else is really commonly found here. So trying to find different breed mixes or even how they X and getting that breed mix to be different. So the road to True North was harder. And I really didn't think, oh, Tracy, pin that question because yes. Okay, so I really didn't think, there was a point in like, when was it? August, September? Like I'm talking late into this thing. And this is why True North was on lockdown. I wasn't telling anybody I was making this because there was this really large chance I wasn't gonna be making this. I was using all my powers of persuasion, all my stalker abilities. I was calling in a lifeline to friends all over the country to get this thing together. So logistically, True North took me so much time. I couldn't tell you the hours it took me just to gather it, to get it here. And I kept thinking, once it's here, we're gonna be fine. But then we had a few fleece show up that were not okay. So like, let's say I use a producer I've used before, but this year, you know, they switched their feed and there was a drought and suddenly all these fleece I've washed before are filled with dandruff. And I'm like, dang it, because like, I'm not gonna put that in my, if it's a little bit. So we had one of them that had a little bit of dry skin. I talked about her. She was fine. But like, so we went ahead and did it. It can knock out whatever. But if they were heavier or something, I'm like, shoot, I'm gonna have to work a little harder on that. I don't have the time for that now because I'm on a production schedule. So I'm gonna just wait. So, and use something else. So then I'm washing something else from that province, something else from that province, something else from that province. And so there were certain provinces, because I started scouring in BC and I scoured across. I had a method for my own scouring and it was really fun. And then at the end, I did all the alpacas. So that was my sort of True North. So the first challenge was getting it here, just finding it, sourcing it, getting it here. And then making sure they're different. So I would meet a farmer and they would be like, oh, like they're like the only farmer I've been able to contact so far in this province. And this is the breed they have. And then I'm like, shoot, I've got that one. So, but can I switch? Is it easier for me to try and get something else from that province? And then I can use, because I haven't found anything from this province yet. And I could switch this one and then no, because I can't. And so there were certain non-negotiable provinces, like Newfoundland was non-negotiable. Nova Scotia was non-negotiable. New Brunswick was non-negotiable. PEI non-negotiable. I wasn't really having options more than what I'd already found from those places. So luckily, luckily the producers that I was using in those places were excellent. Like Kaylee's recommendation for Nova Scotia, right? Getting connected with Old School Acres, I wasn't worried. And like my Newfoundland had arrived early in the year. I knew it was good, so I wasn't worried. And Simone handpicked that fleece from PEI for us, so wasn't worried, right? Like New Brunswick was a challenge. I ended up having quite a few, well, I did have a lot of wool arrive from New Brunswick. But I picked the one that I loved the most, which was those Young Gun and Mr. Black, and ended up meeting Connell Farms and then ended up meeting other shepherds, and I've got a source for next year. So I feel like when I do it again this year, the actual sourcing is going to be easier because I've made these connections. Manitoba was hard. I was surprised that Manitoba was hard. I did reach out to certain shepherds, and then some people don't get back to you, and then people are busy, right? Shepherds are busy. They've got a lot to do other than MellyKnits, who 8 months in advance trying to set something up that they don't need to worry about right now because they got sheep limping and fences to put up and there's a drought and there's this going on, that going on. So like no shame, no hate, but just for me, I needed fleece and I needed like answers. So there were certain provinces that were breathless. They were just not breathless. They were like, there was so much ease involved. Okay. So BC was easy for me. I know BC, this is my home turf, and that's why I chose to fill the spots that were blank from the territories, wool in the territories that I couldn't get, to fill it from BC because I know it. It's not going to suck my soul away trying to find it, and I'm not going to pay shipping, and that's going to keep the cost down. True North had a high cost because of shipping so many things. So we worked with 26 farms in New York, in True North, 26 Canadian farms with the alpacas and with the wools, and all that had to be shipped except for what I could get in BC. Or if it got trafficked, like Rebecca trafficking down and meeting me in Calgary with the fleece. So like there was some trafficking, but like I'm not trafficking wool from PEI, like that's getting mailed. Which by the way, Simone covered that cost. Simone treated us all to that. Thank you, Simone. She insisted. She wanted to give something to the Advent. So thank you, Simone. But like True North had an incredible cost in that regard. It's not cheap to ship in Canada. So even though maybe the dollar per pound price for these fleeces wasn't as high as what I'm paying, nowhere near as high as what I'm paying for Delightful fleeces, but like then you got to ship them. Suddenly now we're actually a little bit higher because say the box from Newfoundland was just for the alpaca, I don't know, like $40, and then the wool, $48, and then the first Manitoba fleece that showed up, I think I paid $60 in shipping, and I didn't even use the fleece. And that didn't go into the budget, by the way. If I bought the fleece and it was unusable, that's my loss, right? Like the Advent's not paying for that. That's not ending up in my spreadsheet for my costing, and we had quite a bit of that. But everything had to be shipped in, which put that price up. The hours finding it was just crazy, but also like it was so fun. I had so much fun on this hunt, and I got a real lift off the connection of contacting all my friends in these different provinces. Like I've name dropped most of these provinces where I was super assisted, and that's a joy to me. There's no flex for me and I did this myself. No, man, I have good friends. I'm super supported. My eyes could tear up just thinking about it. Like it's so nice. It's so nice to have that and to be able to talk to people and hear what they love and what do you recommend, and then like finding their special and then getting to use it for this. It's touching AF is what it is. So yeah. So it was a big deal. Hold on, I'm 5 minutes into spinning. Oh, look at this. People want to be wool brokers. Kaylee, you said you weren't going to cry. I was up till 3 a.m. That's going to get me giggly and teary, okay? No thank you to Shaba. So, although he's fine, he's resting, he's very, very well. So, the journey to True North was long and winding, arduous. I had so many voice notes to friends where I was leaving the messages and I'm like, and then this shepherd is like not getting back to me, and she said blah blah, and like just tracking people down where I needed to is this gonna happen? And if it doesn't happen, what's gonna happen to this shelf of mostly Canadian wools that I have and that I have found? So like when Manitoba showed up, when Sam went and shopped for me at that fiber festival, and then it actually got here, I was like, thank you. Oh, by the way, I already have Manitoba's fleece for next year. New producer. Dang, baby. Because it was actually one I'd been contacting all year long. And then when they finally got back to me, I already had all my fleece, but I was like, send it anyway. Send it anyway. I'll use it for next year. So it's beautiful, by the way. So when certain things showed up, I was very relieved, but it was real last minute that these fleece showed in. I remember, like I told you guys, Young Gun and Mr. Black, that was a blind purchase. I didn't know what that fiber looked like. There were no pictures of staple length, nothing. And I remember looking at Aaron and being like, if this New Brunswick fiber doesn't show up good, what am I gonna do? I don't have a plan B. This is my plan. This is my plan C. I've already tried 2 others. It turns out it was great. It was quirky and full of character, and they were delightful to deal with. And I was like, oh. So as things kept showing up, we were golden. We were good. It was fine. I remember doing the alpaca first, looking for the alpacas first, because I thought that would be the harder one to collect. And it wasn't. Like some provinces were, like I shared a little bit about finding whiskers from the Yukon Territory, but for the most part, I would say that was pretty easy. And that also had the most amount of point, click, purchase, buy. Like Quebec was, I just did that on a website. And there was a few others I just was able to go to their sites and they had it and I could just buy it. And that was like nice. But a lot of them I was talking directly to the shepherds, which is also nice, and I would just say to them, send me what you love the most. This is where it's going out. This is the application. Send me who you love, what you're the most proud of, because I'm new to this farm or I'm new to this, source. So you send me what you love, and then that's what I'm gonna look at for the Advent. And that's what I did. So we have a lot of animals here that were like, oh, I love this alpaca. I love this sheep. This is my favorite, blah, blah, blah. And that's what's infused True North. Then once it actually came down to washing True North, I had a little bit of a pause. There was 2 provinces where I got a little stuck and needed to wash a lot more than what the actual pounds I needed for the Advent, just due to surprise, heavy dandruff, or surprise, it's felted midway down the staple length or something like that. So there was a few provinces I had to do. So let's say I needed to scour 9 to 10 pounds for safeties and for margins and for extras per province of wool. I had to scour, which I could do. The minimum wasn't 9 to 10. That was my safety net, because I also had the guts to do, and I'm really particular about the locks that go out into guts. And so, there were some provinces where I washed maybe 24 pounds a province just to get the good stuff, if that makes sense. So I'm not going to name the provinces just because I don't want to ever throw shade. It happens. It's wool. These are animals that live outside, right? Stuff happens. And so I don't want to put an asterisk next to anybody who might be like, oh, that province, well, you needed to, just to collect the good stuff. But yeah, there was certain provinces where I scoured, I know I could think of 2 off the top of my head where I scoured 24 per province. And again, that didn't end up, those stats and numbers don't end up in my stats post that I did. So I did a big stats post where I ended up with a finished, clean carded, roughly 60 pounds of carded fiber and this many pounds of this, and I scoured 144 or whatever it was, 139. But those numbers include, that's just for what actually went into the Advent, and it doesn't include what didn't get into the Advent. And there was quite a lot of scouring that didn't get into the Advent. And there was a couple of fleece that did go to the compost bin. And as burn pile girl, it was deserved. They did need to go to the compost bin. Not every fleece can be saved. Not every fleece can be saved. There are some that just are not savable. So, Lisa, what was the actual Uber Eats times? Way more than whatever I said in that post. Way more. Way more. Oh man. Way more. Because, okay, so here's to speak. We're still talking True North. When I had to do all that extra scouring, that put me a full week, a full 7 or 8 days, or was it 10 days? It put my production schedule back. So I had hard dates for things. I need every fleece to be here by. And it was I think my date was September 15th. I need to have everything here because I got to announce this thing in October. I got to make sure it's all good. I want to get washing ahead of time just in case there's something wrong, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, no, those fleece weren't all here. Like, no, that didn't happen. I'm like, oh, and then we actually start, right? We begin. So I had Knit City in August, and I rolled right out of Knit City into making all my sommelier clubs in the beginning of September. I was like, I can't stop to do sommelier while the Advent is going. So I made September, October, November, and half of December right in the beginning of September. Everything got stored away in sealed bags and out of my line of vision. Like, but we did like a ton of washing and carding. I think I scoured like between August and September, it was something insane, like 450 pounds of wool. I scoured like 200 pounds a month. It was crazy. So much scouring. And then carding, getting the sommeliers done, the guts clubs done, and just needed to get them out. So that way when those auto ships renewed, I just could grab fleece, ship it, send it, get back to the Advent. That was my plan. So then we had the September shop update that came. It was my last update of the year. And I wanted to like show up well for that. So we made all of sommelier in the beginning of the month. And then I quickly just dive bombed into this, like, when I say quickly, how quick does anything go in the wool world, right? Dove into this September shop update. As soon as the September shop update was done and out, it was just Advent. So we kind of started right in the beginning of October, which gave me 18 days until I was going to, less because I have to ship this, anyway, but 18 days to announce. I was announcing on the 18th. And that was my only security time to kind of really start scouring and getting things done and getting things clean so I could just make sure we were going to be good, right? Like that everything was going to be good. Fleece were still showing up. My Haunui didn't arrive until after I'd announced the Advent. Like, we'll talk about Delightful in a second. But fleece were still showing up. And I would have felt better if everything had been scoured. And you know what? I should have been able to, in 18 days, with me doing 20 pounds a day, which is body breaking, but we're doing it. We're doing it well. 3 scours. I was doing extra scours and everything. I should have probably been able to scour, you know, because I was thinking, okay, if I do this many pounds a day times this many days, I can get this washed. And we still had the heat then a little bit too. And anyway, but then I got stuck. I got stuck in certain provinces. I got stuck on certain Delightful fleece. We'll talk about that in a second. Delightful betrayed me. And we got stuck, and it put me so far back that when I was announcing the Advents, there was hope and faith there. You know what I mean? Like, I knew I was going to do it no matter what, but I didn't like that I was behind because this takes forever. 20-minute timer is a 20-minute timer, and a speed on a carder for what a fleece can handle is a speed on a carder. You can't speed that up. There's no way to accelerate. You can be more efficient, and I'm an efficient little sucker. You can be more efficient and organized, and I can have this happening while this is happening and make the most of the time that I have, but I can't actually increase my time. I can't make those elements go any quicker. I can't even pick quicker because then I'm going to miss something, and I don't ever want to lower my quality, ever. I'm never going to make a move or decision that's going to end up with a lesser quality product at the end, because then what the heck am I doing? If I have to work so fast, or if I have to, anything like that, to where the quality lessens, and I need to do less volume and focus more on the quality. So I only will scale up my volume to the quality that I can keep up with. Okay. So I'm way behind on scouring. I remember the day I got the scouring done, we were well into carding. So we would be running. So once the scour was done, we started to pick, and I'm picking, Erin's picking, and there's 3 other people who are picking, and I'm paying them to pick. So we have like a $1 per pound rate, and I get these bags organized. I put a sticky note inside the bag, and it has how much it is to pick this bag, how many locks you need to pull, put it back in this Ziploc, what the fleece is, blah, blah, blah. All my info is there so I can pass to trusted pickers. And so thank you, Nelly, if you're here, Thursday friend, if she watches this later. I can pass these to pickers, and they bring them back, and they take more and they bring them back. And it's like a takeaway, bring back thing. You can do it from the TV, whatever. But not everybody's a trusted picker because not everybody knows their way around wool and locks. And some fleece were, like I said, huge, like these monsters. And so I would say just pick this much. But once the fleece was washed, we would shake them really, really good. And I would immediately partition the guts for True North. Remember, we're still talking about True North. Everybody on board for these stories? Do we love this? I'm gonna keep going because you're all still here. Okay, so I would partition immediately the True North guts portion. I'd sit on the floor. Nellie sat with me for a lot of this. We'd take the clean fleece that had been shaken, and then we would take out the amount that I needed for True North guts. And it would go into a sealed plastic bag, and in the bag would be, it's this many grams, this is the breed, this is the province that it came from, boom, on the shelf. And we would do that as I was getting the fleece done, as they were getting dried. And then the other part of the fleece that needed to be picked for the carded version of that advent got notified with how many locks you need to pull, breed, where it's from, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So, oh, hello. Thank you, partners, for being here. Welcome to the wool world and the chaos. Hi, I'm Melly. So then that would go in, and that would go into a separate pile for picking. This needs to be picked. Do not pick this. Okay, and we would I just did that for every fleece, for all 13 fleece in True North. And then they'd come back picked, and then Aaron got to carding. And he would be running 2 passes through on the big homie. And then those sheets would get put back into the bag with the locks that the picker did and all that information. And then those went down into, they went into another pile because those now needed their 3rd pass to be broken down on my little carders. So the big phases were the day that we were finally finished scouring. That was a big milestone. The day where I finally had all my guts bags done, all 13 were there. That was a milestone. The day that the 2 passes were done for all of True North and Delightful, because we kind of had to intermix on here, that was a milestone. And then now I'm dealing with these bags, big sheets, mega bats of carded wool. So then they come up and they get partitioned into little nuggets like this. So all these get weighed out. So for my regular bats, I weigh out 53 grams each nugget. And then for the True North ones, we weighed out 55. And we'd make stacks of sheets. You guys probably saw pictures of it where we'd lay tissue, lay tissue, lay tissue, lay tissue. That again goes back into the plastic bag, gets sealed up with all that same information that first went out with the picker. The locks are there, what it is, the breed, what province it's from, and then that went downstairs. So if you see pictures of, there's a post with the 2 bags. It's maybe like 1 or 2 posts ago, and it's the 2 bags from the advent, and you flick through, and you're just gonna be throwing bags of wool right around. Each one of those bags represented a day in the advent. And so another milestone was the day that all those were done in 3s. But this isn't all happening like, and now that's done, start the next phase. The phases are blending as you're doing it, and you're blending 2 different advents. So the kitchen held True North and those 13 bags, and the living room held Delightful and those 12 bags, because I couldn't fit it all into one room and it was insane. And so every day I would go down and I would grab another bag of mega bats and bring it up and separate it into the 55 grams, card, make my big bag of sheets, put it back in, bring it back downstairs. Now it's ready to be packaged. And we just went through it. Every day I would just go grab bags. How many bags can I get through today? Sitting at this carder. I was working, because I was trying to catch up. My idea, because I can't invent time, I can't literally create more time, was just to work longer hours. So I was doing 8:30 in the morning till 9:30 at night. I was trying to do lights out by 9:30. So I didn't kill my body too much or my brain. It was really lovely. I listened to a ton of audiobooks, a ton of music. I drank so much tea. I watched great shows. So it's not stressful at that point, but it's long. The hours are super long. I'm eating, I'm drinking, I'm not running around oh no. I think I felt a little bit like that when the scouring was taking forever. I was getting a little frustrated because I had a plan, and it wasn't going to plan because these are fleece, these are organic materials that behave in different ways. And so there was this feeling then, but when it's the carding, then it's not stressful. It's actually really relaxing. It's just really long. So I have butt cushions. This is a heating pad that lives on the back of my chair, because you get up, you walk around, you move your body. There's all these things you do, but there's nothing to save me from the fact that all that really needs to happen is I need to be sitting in front of this machine for 12 hours a day minimum. That was it. That was the only way I was going to make up the time and have the advent shipped on time, because it had to be carded and finished by November. Okay, I said my ship date was November 15th. That was the schedule from the beginning of the year. I scheduled, I'm going to announce it on the 18th. The ship date's the 15th. That gives me this much time, but I need a packaging week. So this Sunday, everything needs to be done because we're going to ship them on Friday, right? And I need a week to ship all of this. And not to ship it, but to package it, sorry. So we're working in phases. The phases are blending. And it's just because, but it was a system. It was a good system. We were organized. It was tight. We could just get down there, grab that bag, transform it to the layer of the sheets, you know. That signifies it's done. If it's got tissue in the bag, no more to do with that till we get to packaging week. We're not even think about it. Just keep grabbing the bags, keep grabbing the bags. And that's what we did. So we were carding and making things sheets while this was still doing 2 passes, but wool would have been all dried by then. Yeah, it was crazy. It was good crazy. It was really fun, but it did fill up my whole entire brain. So then we get to, well, packaging week. But let's pause before packaging week, and now let's go back to delightful, because that's my journey for True North. But once I did actually get scouring, once the scouring was done, True North was so straightforward. And it was really lovely because you were just spending a little bit of time with each fleece because each bag was a different breed from a different place. So you kind of felt like you were always doing something new. And it was really nice to work on. It was like, and just to get to see them that way and do those passes. I don't know. I really enjoyed working on it because it was always changing. It was changing quicker than Delightful was changing, right? Because I'm spending longer with the Delightful fleeces with the blend, like the next day blend. And so anyway, and a lot of these were like down wools and medium wools, right? So you can kind of zoom a little bit. You're not watching for every little thing. You are picking VM and whatever that you can, but like no one's feelings are going to be hurt if they get some VM. It's a Canadian wool advent for medium wools, right? We kind of know what's going to be there. Yeah. So, and helpers was great. I have some people who I will trust to card the final pass. So no one gets on this but me and Erin, because this takes more knowledge, how you feed it. And that first pass is really important. No one gets on here but me or him, but I will have people card up the third pass, depending on the wool too, right? So on a medium wool advent, I really had a lot of trust for my people. It's not rocket surgery. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I've shown you guys, draft it out, spread it, feed it through, keep it thin. I can show these students how to do that. And so quite a bit of the True North Advent third pass was done by the students, and that was really awesome, whereas I alone carded Delightful. Because they're really fine wool fleeces, you do have the ability, even on that third pass, to do them harm if you feed too much at a time, if you're going too fast, if this, if that. So I was the only one that carded Delightful for the third pass, but I did get students in to help and sit next to me on these carders and take on some of those medium wools. So that was really fun. Yeah, rockets have surgery. Yeah, totally do. So I did have labor, and I did estimate labor for needing to bring in extra help for the students. I totally underestimated my labor cost, which was hilarious. But it was so worth it. And actually one of those students, her name is Emily, has stayed on with MellyKnits, and now she's here part-time. And she's actually, yesterday I was rolling with Big Homie all day, working on this secret shop update, and she's over here. Emily did this. She did your third pass, and she's very organized. And she, sometimes you might see a different handwriting. This one's mine, but if she needs to make up a label or a tag, she loves this work. She loves learning about this world. She's going to take my e-spinner home over Christmas holidays, and she spun a little bit. We've taught her how to spin, but Emily's here now, and we love it. We love. So she comes 3 days a week, so she's pretty much a part-time, and she knows how to split the bats, weighs them out, can get them carded. She wraps the bat beautifully. There is a technique to wrapping a bat. They can get pretty gimpy. She takes notes. Man, this kid is like on it and competent and capable, and can walk to work. So she's really loving that. Anyway, Emily stayed. Okay, True North. Let's talk about the journey to True North. Sorry, to Delightful. The journey to Delightful was extremely straightforward, because when you're buying fleece at $40 a pound or whatever the heck I was paying for most of these, they have websites, they've got ribbons, they go to shows, They are known. There is like Instagram accounts and we're all following them and loving them. And when they're sort of selling wool at that sort of like pedigree, you know, they're way more accessible to find. They're not necessarily accessible to buy, right? Like some of these are bucket list spins. We had that last year too with like the 7 Spirits Cormo that ended our Advent last year. She sells her Cormo for 70 USD a pound. So by the time I get that to Canada, that's $110 a pound, okay? So like, you're gonna try it once and then you might be good, you know, like that's a lot of money. And so with Delightful, finding the fleece is easier, way easier. I did not have a labor of love sourcing these wools like I did with True North. The bulk of the work for True North definitely was in gathering it. Definitely. That was the bulk of the work for True North. Delightful didn't have that. But it had a higher cost, right? Like to actually like buy these wools was a higher cost. So, starts off, I work with them a lot. I have reservations out with them. Like I had fleece coming. How Nui, Harriet's a bud. She's a friend and we know How Nui. They're all over the place online. This Bond from Shiloh Wool. I work with Shiloh Wool. I had this on the way. Again, was able to purchase from her, just my usual channels. The Canadian Fine Wool, a little harder to track this guy down. Well worth the wait. I thought this was just stunning and I love that we had a Canadian representation that just held up against like these big daddy kind of blue ribboners, right? I thought this was just stunning, but this one was my hunt. This one was definitely my hunt and to get in contact. Rupert's, Corriedale. Rupert's is online and they've got a website and they're active on their social medias. And I have some like kicking around. And then the Polworth, again, I've worked with Tarndy fleeces before. I can get them from my Wool Yoda. She has a bunch of the Tarndy, and so I went to Wool Yoda and got this fleece. I got some fleece from her last year too. Tarndy doesn't sell raw much anymore. You really can't get it from them raw, so it's kind of special that we can get this. So you see what I'm saying? Like the straightforward nature of being able to just go buy fleece, done. So me, in my assurances, I had a whole shelf in the wool wall all year long for just Advents. So True North and Delightful. So these fleece are arriving, popping them on the shelf, popping them on the shelf. Yeah, no problem, no problem. There were 3 producers that I purchased from that were supposed to be on this board and they didn't make it. So that was where I say Delightful betrayed me because they were problematic. So actually the very first Delightful fleece I bought was when I was in Mexico on vacation last year. I bought a fleece from a new to me producer, looked at the pictures online they were sending, thought this looks great. I'd love to put this breed. The color's right. It arrived. I looked at it, kind of threw the bag, rebagged it like I do so it was safe and popped it on the shelf when it got here. Didn't look at it again until it came time to scour. That was a mistake. That fleece had a major issue. Major. I actually am stunned it was sold. And that's on me. I should have opened the bag and looked, but I was like really surprised. I was like, because I remember talking to the shepherd and being like, send me which one of these 2 you love the most. And oh, I love this one, and sent it. And I was like, okay. So sometimes you're both talking about the same thing, you and a shepherd, but the words mean different things. So for instance, VM, okay? How much VM does it have? Oh, very little, very little. And then it arrives and it's not very little, it's very a lot. So it's not that we're not using the same word, it's that we have different meanings for the word, right? So to me, a little VM means about this much. And to them, a little VM might be about this much. And so then they send me their little VM and I'm looking at it going, well, that's actually like medium to high, right? Like VM. But to them, that was little VM. So I think there can be like those types of communications things with shepherds. And it's not bad. They're not lying to you. No one's being false. It's almost like if there was some regulated scale we were all using, but how do you measure that? Because a lot of the times you don't even see the VM until you wash the fleece and then boom, there it is. It's all over the place, right? Like it was hiding and lurking within the lock and glued to the staple with the lanolin. And now that you've released the lanolin, you've released this dust bomb, blah, blah, blah. So in the case of this one fleece, what the problem was is the bottom was definitely gray, which was my color, about this much. And the rest of it was this like almost like if hair had been terribly bleached and overprocessed. It was brittle, it was dry. And I just remember thinking, how, like this to me wouldn't have been sellable personally. I was like, oh, dang. And it was yellow. So when I scoured, I thought maybe I can scour it. I got a test, I'll take this test lock, I'll scour this fleece, but I'm like, this is a problem. And I scoured it, bright yellow. So this part's gray, and that's what I was seeing folded in through the bag. So that's on me. That's on me. I should have, because the shepherd was very proud of this fleece, right? She was legitimately, honestly proud of this fleece. And so, and that's awesome, but it wasn't anything that I would work with. And that's my standard level, right? You know what I'm saying? And this can happen when you're buying wool online. They're not lying to you. No one's tricking you, and no one's trying to sell you a problem fleece in some cases. They just literally, like, they're proud of this. And it just wasn't something that I was going to use. That one actually went into the compost. Isn't that sad? It was a really expensive fleece too. So, because I'm buying it in US dollars. As a Canadian, my dollar's worth junk. So when I'm buying American wool, I got to put it up by like 35% and then pay $1 billion to ship it or traffic it, right? So that one kind of hurt my feelings. But luckily, I have a beautiful stash of wool myself. And I was able to sub something in from I wanted all new producers this year, you know, so you guys could meet new fine wools for these fine wool breeds. But like, I just grabbed an Old Faithful, and I grabbed a beautiful fleece off the shelf, and it was no problem, and we just went for it. And it was still the gray, it was still gorgeous, still fine wool. Finding the fine wools is not difficult, like determining which ones I want. There's not a lot of breed diversity out there for fine wool, right? Like, we got your big hitters, your Merinos, your Cormos, your Rambouillets. You've got you can get really fine, like Jacobs. I found fine Jacob, which is interesting. How Nuis, you've got your, you know, like you know the names. And so I just kind of try and get a good diversity in the fine wool that I'm grabbing. But I have I got 200 and something fleece down in the garage, right? Like, so I was able to grab and replace because this was in October when I opened that fleece. I was like, oh! So luckily, a ton had arrived in the year that was still new and fresh and gorgeous, and I was able to replace it. So something like that happened to me 3 times in Delightful. 3 times. It was soul crushing. I didn't expect that because I was buying from like good producers. I didn't expect that to happen. The other 2 cases were different issues with the fleece. They did not get composted. They just weren't going to go into Delightful, right? And so, when it happened the 3rd time, I was like, I could have cried. I was like, what is going on? Like, this is the shoe-in. This doesn't have question marks for me. But it did have question marks for me. So, and I'm not putting in anything that I feel is subpar into Delightful. Delightfuls are bougie wool, fine and awesome and blah, 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 right? So, no. There was so we got through it. I was able to actually run out to my wool Yoda. Again, in October, I said, I'm so hurting right now. One of my white fleece. Okay, we have this beautiful Rupert's Cormo here, right? We didn't. That wasn't the initial plan. I had this beautiful white fleece, and what was wrong with that? Did I have a break? Something was wrong. But, so I reached out to my wool Yoda, and I'm like, what do you have that's like so nice? But I already had my Colonel Sanders Merino. I have Rupert's Merino here. There's Rupert's Merino going into this Secret Chaos update. I could have, but like I already had Colonel. I didn't want to have 2 Merinos. I'm like, do you have something different? She had a Rupert's Cormo. She had one. So I whipped out to her place and grabbed this Cormo like in October. Like, this was nuts. Delightful was keeping me on my toes. So we got our beautiful Cormo, and I'm so happy it's here. So it wasn't like I was making changes or pivoting in ways that were making me unhappy, without naming names, of course. But what factors would make you reject a fleece? The ones you composted or excluded from Delightful. Problems. So breaks. I can actually work with a weak fleece, and some of the nicest fleece I've ever carded have tender spots. Because we have such a fine TPI, and because we're woolen, I can work with a weak fleece, a tender fleece. It doesn't create neps. It's not a problem for me, depending on the breed, right? If someone's got a weak or a tender CVM, we're fine. If someone's got a weak or a tender, you know, depending on what it is or how tender, but a break is sort of different. It's a real clean cut. That does create problems. If the fleece has a break, I'm out. If the fleece was super tippy, tippy is a problem for me because it launches through the bat when you card it, those tips, and then you got like insane texture. So texture would be out for me. In the case of this like bleached, it was just, honestly, it was just bad wool. It was like really poor quality. And it would have carded up bad, and it would have looked bad and spun bad. Like it was 3/4 yellow, 1/4 gray. Like I'm not putting that was out. That one that went in the compost bin, gone. Like I'm not doing that. So heavy VM in Delightful. Heavy, sure, I wouldn't use heavy. These are really, okay, so coated are Americans. This is New Zealand and Australia. These countries really don't coat. You're not gonna see that, but they're also never dirty. They're never VME. It's like, because New Zealand's all pasture too, like it's a whole different thing. I never see VM in Harriet's fleeces or anything I've gotten from Australia. Canadian, this had VM, but again, nothing that I was gonna worry about. Polworth, that's also Australia, and did not have any issues there. But like, I don't want the heavy, but I'm also trying to play when I'm making these pivots with keeping my color story. I wanted to keep this, I wanted it to feel like a winter day. That's what I want it to feel like. I want it to feel winter, where we're seeing, like I could, like the tundra, like I had all these pictures of the Arctic tundra, and these colors live there, right? These colors live there for sure. And I want it to feel like that. And I didn't want to compromise that. So I guess what would reject a fleece for me, those factors would reject. I have never had anybody mail me fleece that's like infested with anything or anything like that. Like that would obviously be an obvious rejection. Never happened to me. In all the thousands of fleece I've bought, that's never been the case. So it would mostly just be like those other factors, and that doesn't get into Delightful at all. I wasn't even letting those things into True North, right? Like that's why I went through so many fleece for True North and was buying like 3 from every province that I could, was to pick the best in case something had a problem. But I was expecting that in True North. I was anticipating that. Because again, we got grace for the fact that these are outside animals, and in Canada, a lot of them are for meat production. You don't see a ton of exclusive fiber flock. We have them here for sure, but a lot of people, these are meat sheep, right? So the wool is a byproduct, and when you're working with a byproduct, you expect that you are going to encounter problems, things you have to work through, excessive VM, cotting, the staple length is like, what? I can't work with that, or whatever else you might have. But with Delightful, these are fiber flocks. And I'm buying fiber flock, coated sheep, etc. I wasn't expecting that. So it was a bit of a punch right in the booty. And actually, I didn't get discouraged. I wasn't discouraged at all by True North. I was on a mission. I had that thing between my teeth. I'm like, we're doing this. If I got to fly to Manitoba myself and go to that fiber festival, we're getting a fleece. But luckily Sam went for me, so I didn't have to buy a plane ticket. But like willing, right? Like, and it was sort of this fun challenge. Whereas Delightful did actually discourage me at one point when I had to rewash a whole extra fleece, because I'm like, what the heck? And talk about expensive. Talk about like when things don't go right with a fleece you've paid a lot of money for. That's a little bit more problematic. So shout out to Wool Yoda for saving us with that gorgeous white Cormo. And again, it just worked out so much better, right? Like it worked out to where there were no compromises made. There was pivoting on Delightful from what I had originally planned for sure. But there was no compromise on the quality, and there was no compromise on how good it was going to be. As far as the exotics went for Delightful, because someone asked me if I had to pivot on any exotics, I did. That's why I have one here for next year. And actually, that exotic was so the wrong color for this Advent. And my initial plan had been to hide it in the Haunui, because I knew that this animal only comes in one color. And so I was going to just hide it in that black Haunui. And then I was like, oh, but it's going to tone it and give it this, no. So I just took it out And it actually is building our color story for next year's Delightful, which is gonna be so good. And I'm so excited. And it's real fancy. And so, so I did pivot a little bit. That was the only exotic I pivoted on though. Otherwise, I had the dog early on. The mink I bought way early in the year. There was a few fleece that I had. A few exotics. Silk, I was gonna do peduncle. It's a gray themed, icy themed advent, right? Like, duh, we're doing peduncle. The alpaca was a surprise because when the one that I put in with the Cormo, when Pebbles showed up, she was supposed to be for True North. And she was so pretty that I had to use it. I had to use her in Delightful. She was so pretty and the quality so good. So she went into both advents. That was a little bit of a surprise because I was going to use a different camelid at first. We had camel actually last year. But anyway, I just fell in love with Pebble. So no, I didn't really pivot too much. The exotics were pretty straightforward. It was mostly just waiting for certain things. I had to wait for Luna's shed. I had to wait for whatever. So the road to Delightful was very straight to get all the fleece. And then when it came down to actually scouring, everything went nuts and with Delightful. And I was just like, why though? Why? So that one I was like, but you're not supposed to do that. That's not what you do. That's not what we do. It's not what we do. So there's so many days where I'm in the garage looking at Aaron just being like, that's my lesson. Big lesson. I have two huge takeaways for next year. My first huge takeaway is nothing gets on that advent shelf unless I've washed a sample. Nothing. I will have none of this next year. I can save myself a ton of stress and worry and pivot and last minute calling in shepherds. What do you have? FaceTiming with shepherds who are saving my butt on bringing in fleece for me and blow. I did that. Right. I'm going to save all of that by if a fleece shows up, I open it up. And I, again, didn't do this with Delightful because I didn't think I needed to with premium fleece. That's my bad. So washing a sample before I wash the whole fleece, and because there are things that can be revealed after washing that you don't see raw. And then it goes on the shelf and it goes on my list. So I know I have it, I can check that one off the list. That's my huge takeaway for next year. My other huge takeaway is I'm going to use a different color tissue for the guts and the carded of the same advent. They need to be in different color tissue. I don't know how many times I checked and rechecked and I still made a mistake. Lisa, I love you and I'm sorry. Lisa got a guts from the wait list when she ordered a carded. You know, the person who got your carded though, who bought guts, still never reached out. I don't know who they are. Somebody got an upgrade. So Lisa, I got her to overnight her guts back and I carded her whole advent in one night and then overnighted it back to her. So she got to join us on like day 6. The wait list. I didn't make any shipping mistakes at all on the 90 that went out for the advent. It was those last ones that went out for the wait list. So hey, there's another takeaway. Maybe take a pause between the wait list and that. Okay, so, but we fixed it. And Lisa was so lovely about it. Even though she waited till day 1 to open her advent, open some guts, doesn't own a carder. My bad. We fixed it. Okay, so the road to Delightful. Easy to get there, and then had some trouble. Had some pivots, really did call in favors to shepherds, really did roll over to my wool broker, to my wool Yodas, who is a broker, and she's got beautiful, gorgeous top shelf fleece from all over the world, and she is particular, and you're never gonna go wrong buying from her. That's Sherry from Conneagus Textiles, who's gonna be in my booth at Fibers West this year, by the way, with all of her lovely wool. Okay, that's an exclusive live announcement for you all. So then carding, okay? Carding the advents. I talked to you about carding True North. So carding Delightful, straightforward. I knew I was going to need to pimple pop with Colonel. It's a lamb and he's 16 microns. Not a problem. Saw that one coming. Once we got the fleece and they were settled, it was very, very straightforward. I work with a lot of fine wool. I work with a lot of these producers. Stitesoft's not new to me. Rupert's not new to me. Shiloh Wool for the Bond. How Nui. These are all people I've worked with before. So it was safe. I knew what to expect. The only one I hadn't worked with before was the fine wool, Canadian fine wool. But the second I opened that bag, I was like, dang, that's some nice wool. So everyone else wasn't new to me. I've washed from Tarndy. So that was really nice. We just went with the Old Faithfuls, and it was really good. So there you go. And then same process of the 2 passes here, 1 pass here, but I didn't have to split obviously for any guts. And so we just built our piles and then we just got through the work. We just ate the work. Once everything was done in those layers, that Sunday before packaging week, then it came time to do the actual packaging. So, oh, also the treasures. Are we all still invested? We still want to hear this? Everybody still here? We're like gonna be 2-hour long live today. I'm happy if everyone else is enjoying. Yeah? Yeah, okay, we're gonna keep going. Treasures, that's the most fun part of the Advent to do. Because I buy little samples of everything and I try it. So I had so many lip balms from Indigenous makers. I didn't have so many soaps because the second I saw the soap for True North that had the bison in it, I was like the impression, I was like, oh no, I'm getting that. Like, I'm not trying a bunch of soap. Like, the second I found that one, finding Rockland Art with her beautiful feather keychains and whatever else. Bye, Gladys. I'll save it. You can watch to the end. Finding like that cute little feather keychain. So the Indigenous makers was a real fun one to wander around and find. Cecilia, no brainer. The second that I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this Advent, here's gonna be my parameters, right? For this Canadian Advent, I'm like, hey Cecilia, do you want to make a stitch marker? You know what I mean? Like, because we're already friends, we have an established relationship, and it was like perfect. So it was really fun. It was also fun to find new makers, new businesses. Like that Mother Earth Essentials, like I didn't really have any like contact with them. I just went on their site and I bought 60 bags of tea, you know, like, so some of it was just, it was very easy, and it was all very easy, and that was a joy. It's also scary because you're putting like a ton of money out that you're not going to see back until October 18th when these things go on sale. So when I'm buying fleece in January, February, March, when I bought and paid for the soap in, you know, May, it's not going to ship till September though, because I don't need it till then. So blah, blah, blah. Tons of money. So before the Advents ever sold, I was just under 10,000 deep in cost. And that is something to hold. My shop updates hold it, but like, so I'm not like, it's not sitting on a credit card, right? But like, you know, you start to go, oh, if these don't sell, like you do, I get that like, oh man, imagine if this didn't sell, like, and that's just the budgeted. That's what's ending up on the spreadsheet cost that I was in before these things ever sold. That's not the fleece I had to compost. That's not the 2 extra from Manitoba I didn't use. That's not, because I will use them. I'll use them. They went on the shelf. I'm just not using them for this, right? So there was like a ton of cost. And I've got this house full of treasures, and every time another treasure showed up, you're like, yay! Like, it's like the treasure you're smelling, and everything's really, really nice, and everybody was just so wonderful to work with, and it was great. Yeah, and then planning. So for the delightful treasures, those have a different vibe, handmade, and I go as local as possible. So actually, none of Delightful's treasures had to be shipped. There was no shipping cost added to anything for Delightful's treasures because everybody was here. Like, our artist was in Chilliwack, that's 40 minutes away, and her daughter-in-law drove it in. Oh, actually, that's not true. No, Dot from Busted Button, she mailed hers to me from Victoria. So all in all, shipping for all treasures in Delightful was like $14. True North, again, had a higher cost. Shipping for True North was high all around. That Advent was super expensive all around because I had to get everything shipped for True North. There was no local pickup or any options when I was reaching out to all my different makers and whatever else. Everything got shipped. And again, those 26 farms, all but 4 of them got shipped, right? So, and shipping in Canada is super pricey. Whereas Delightful, I shipped the 6 fleece, obviously, actually not even, because I went and picked up 1 local from Sherry, 2. Yes, that's right, 2. The Polworth, the Tarndy Polworth, begged her. She's had that for a while. She's never sold it to me. Never has she sold it to me. And this year, she sold it to me in February. That's right. I was buying all this other fleece from her, and I'm like, where's the silver Polworth? Why is it not in my buy pile? And she was like, okay. And she went and got the silver Polworth. And we got it in our Advent. Yes! So fine, I wore her down. She was... she's kind of saving because you can't, like I said, you can't really get these big full raw fleece from Tarndy anymore. So she's a little bit like holding on to them. She sold me her silver Polworth, and so that's how come we have it in the Advent. Yeah, that's right. I can nag with the best of them. I'm such a nag. And so anyway, I'm a stalker and a nag. You guys have found this out in these Advent lore videos. So where was I talking? Whoa. Oh, treasures. But all the treasures for Delightful, because they're all handmade, maker made, specifically. Whereas many of our, like, you guys even know Cecilia, that's a handmade, maker made, right? But like that wasn't, like, I could also go businesses on that one. Whereas this one is like maker made, like I'm DMing people to get stuff. And so like the hot chocolate mix got delivered here. That was from Powell River. Dot did send hers over in the mail, her beautiful resin stitch marker. My sister did 2 of the items, again, the soap and the lip balm, because I love her stuff. I think she does incredible stuff with her tallow, her Canadian tallow. And yeah, the art was from Chilliwack that got delivered here. So it was really kind of nice that those things, because those are efficiencies that are great to make if I can, because it keeps the cost down, correct? But I'm doing all this buying all year, buying, bringing in, and you're just kind of holding all those costs until they sell. This is why so many Advent makers, in case you've ever wondered, are selling their Advents in March, and they're selling their Advents in April. And sometimes I remember some people are like, what's not even close to Christmas? Why are they selling this? I'm like, because they don't want to carry the cost of building it all year long. A lot of makers, we're not playing with that kind of money, right? Like, it's very difficult. It can be very difficult for a lot of makers, especially if you're doing like a smaller volume or whatever else, to carry the cost of such a big project. So they sell them in the beginning of the year and they get their fund, right? Money's through, they've got their reservations and that's secured. And then they spend that money building their Advent and then mail it at the end of the year. And it's a really good model. It's a great model. So if you see people selling in March, you're like, I'm not even thinking about Advents. It's March. Like, I'm thinking about summer vacation. But that's why they're doing that, because it's just a smart way of doing it, right? And then it's not a huge burden on the business or something to carry. So I can't do that because I don't have the fleece here yet. Animals still growing it. I don't know what the cost is going to be. I don't know where this treasure's coming from yet to get it shipped in, or I don't know. Whereas if you're, say, doing like a yarn Advent or a comb top Advent, there's some fixed pricing there, right? Like, you know, you're going to put Rambouillet comb top or Haunui comb top or whatever else into your Advents. Those are pretty fixed prices. They can fluctuate a little, but you kind of would know what to expect. And so you could like estimate your Advent costs and then maybe set aside this much budget for your treasures and this much for your packaging. And then you could kind of come up with a price. My stuff has such a variety. Even in like, I might only need 6 pounds, but I got to buy 12 and I got to like, So, and even then, because True North was a fat question mark until like October, until like the end of September, end of September, I'm buying all the treasures. I had all the treasure here before I had the fleece here. I had 60 of everything here before the fleece ever arrived. Like the last fleece arrived. And so I didn't, I don't want to sell in the beginning of the year and then not be able to follow through or price it wrong. Because I've done that. Point in case, my guts clubs. I started out on guts. I wasn't really sure where to price things. And that's why I just did 50% of the bat, right? Like, because I'm not doing the carding. Wrong. That was not the right move. Oh, all my guts should be like a minimum $30 to $35. And they're a little less when I started the clubs, because I just started it. And so anyway, so it's better for me to maybe take some time and make sure my pricing, because I'm a real spreadsheets person, I'm a real budgeter, and to make sure everything's right. So that's how come I sell mine so late in the year. Because by the time I have a price for you guys that's going online, I have my cost. It's done. So when I went out on the 18th with my cost per Advent, it was because I have a whole workbook, Excel workbook for Delightful. I have a whole workbook for True North. Every fleece with what I paid with the shipping, every treasure with what I paid with the shipping, every box, every piece of tissue, 12 pieces of tissue. I can tell you how much 12 pieces of tissue costs. The strings, the special cards I had printed, the bags from Icky Icky. By the way, like, what I bought these for is what you guys would buy these for. If you were to go to Etsy right now and buy this bag, is what I paid, right? Like, I'm just buying it in like a big chunk. And so yeah, so everything is itemized. Then I can make estimates on labor for me, because I know how long it takes me to card a pound. I know my pricing for scouring a pound. I know how much a tablespoon of power scour costs me. I know all of these costs. I have lists that live on the door there with cost per gram for every single, I'd be willing to put down a deposit on an Advent. Oh, no, we're not, my brain is not going there. I have a cost per gram in just right now, but Nelly, pin that. I have a cost per Advent per gram of all the different exotics in this room. If I have an exotic in this room, it's got a cost per gram that lives on a sheet, so that when I'm building a bat and I'm thinking about what to mix into it and what percentage to mix into it, I can estimate the cost of that bat. So sometimes my bats are 55 and some rarely, but still I have appeared, are 70, and that's not a guess. It's not an estimate. It is a fact. I know my cost. And so I know my labor. I know all of these things to such a degree that I am doing, I'm not pricing on vibes. I am pricing on data. Everything I do here is priced on data, which is why I screwed up guts. I didn't have enough data. I should have waited. So anyway, that's what happens around here. And that's what I do with the Advent. So when I bring pricing to the internet, I have considered a lot of real key factors and extra labor and like literally every tiny thing. And then we get our Advent. So, and then all the money comes in and it's really nice because I'm like, woo, like are you all deciding right now that we're doing deposits? Is this what's happening? Also, hold up. Emily, are you here? I'm late. I'm very late. Did you want to grab a fleece to pick? I'm still doing the live. Or are you doing something else?
Sorry, what?
I'm still doing the live.
Oh, okay.
Did you want to come? They're saying hi to you now. Come say hi. Did you want to grab a fleece to pick while I keep talking?
Sure. Shut up. Why are you doing that?
Oh, he's going to throw up. He puked all night till 3 a.m.
Oh, no, sweetie.
Did he just throw up on the carpet?
No.
Do you want to go let him out?
He's been doing that since I got here.
Hey. Hi. Are you okay? My dog is sick. Oh, there's Emily.
Hi, everyone.
Hi. She's saying hi. Baby, you gotta go lay down. Do you want to grab a fleece?
Sure.
And do you want to let him outside?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure, come here.
Literally 3 a.m. I was up with this dog.
Sweetie.
But I think he got it all out. He's just not feeling good. He ate something weird when he was out in the field, and I think he poisoned himself. I think he ate a turd. Now he's puking up turd.
Okay, come on, Shadow. Let's go.
Okay, Emily's gone.
Okay. No, Shadow. Wait until we're downstairs.
Go down fast.
Hurry, Shadow. Come on. Shadow, come here. Shadow, come here. Come on.
Poor Shabba. He's fine. This has happened before. He can sometimes get investigative and eat things in the field. He's really good about it though. He held his puke all the way till he got down to the hardwood floor and he threw up all over the hallway and all over the mat. Then went outside and threw up all over the lawn. It was an interesting night. I'm walking the dog in my fluffy pink housecoat in the rain at like 1:30 in the morning. Oh, doggy pneumonia that's going around. Oh dear. Okay, I'll take him to the vet. We have an excellent vet just right down the street. I'll call them today when the live is over and we'll get Shabba taken care of. Okay, so there's a little bit. Oh, packaging week. That's what we didn't talk about yet, was packaging week. And then I think I'll be done telling you guys everything because we've talked about pricing and we've talked about costs. We've talked about methods for, like, you guys are now determining my business practices for next year. Talking about, sorry, I'm distracted by the talk now about dog things. The process, the schedule. And because I wash everything really, really fresh, for my own peace of mind and everything else, and also with the way that MellyKnits works with our shop update models of like I wash the beginning of the month and then I card, we wash, we pick, we card, we sell. Start over for the next month. Wash, pick, card, sell. Start over for the next month and add a sommelier every month in the middle of that too with the shop update. So, and markets. So there isn't a lot of, I'm not going to start the Advent any earlier than I do. I'm never going to be able to. Just otherwise, like skip something else in the year in order to get things going. So October is probably always going to be our start. And it was funny even this year to try and think about how much could I actually do in that span of time. And we found out we can do like 100 and whatever we did. That's how many Advents we can do. And all those pounds that I listed and everything else that you guys saw on like my data sheet, that's what I can do from October to November 15th. We now have data, and I love data. Because I am thinking about like, oh, but if I did this other Advent next year and if I added another Advent next year, but 100 and something was probably what I can do. That's probably what I can do. Okay. Oh, the day that I quit my job, that was a delightful Advent day when one of the fleece didn't go right. And at 2:00 in the afternoon, I went and got into a bath with a dilly bar. That happened. I was quit for a whole like 48 minutes, and then I rehired myself and I got back to work. But I did put something about stats about quitting my job. I quit my job that day with the dilly bar in the bath, and then I quit my job the Thursday of packaging week. Those were the days that I quit my job. Thursday of packaging week, Thursday friend walked through the door to help me package up the last day, to help me package up Delightful. And I took one look at her and then I burst into tears. That happened. That actually happened to me. But there was a lot more going on than just the Advent. At the same time, I was getting set up to be a distributor for Unicorn. So I'm now the Western Canadian distributor for Unicorn. And you know what? Setting up as an importer with Canada Border Services agencies and stuff like that is no joke. Because they treat me, little business, the same as they would treat anybody bringing in massive containers off of huge boats from overseas, right? Like, it's nuts. There's a lot of stuff I really didn't know. That was all happening at the same time. So I had a little bit of a cry. Do you think that if you had a more smooth sailing experience with dealing with the fleeces, you could make a little bit more number-wise? Just a little quit as a treat. Yep, I just quit. Just a tiny quit. Could I make more number-wise? I guess, because, but maybe what I would do is just have normal work hours. Like, I had abnormal work hours because I was making up time for the scouring. So I feel like if I had scoured and everything went according to plan, according to my production schedule, then the carding would have been within normal span of working and I would have still had a life outside of the Advent, which I didn't, which was fine because it felt like a real personal challenge, and I'm that kind of person. I really do love a hard day's work. And like, I mean that, I really do. And a huge task that you have to take a bite off of as you go is actually fantastic for me. So abnormal work hours began. Yeah, that's why the abnormal work hours, that's why I started to cry on that Thursday of packaging week, because a lot of my student workers who were coming that week got sick. They all got like the flu and stuff, and so I actually lost a lot of labor that week. And Aaron had to last minute fly out for work. He had to fly to Texas that week. And I was setting up this crazy distributorship thing with words I don't know and trying to figure out what the heck a surety bond is and like all this other kind of stuff. And there's a lot going on with the loom of this Canada Post strike, because they had issued their strike notice on the Monday when I started packaging. My date since January had been November 15th for shipping, and that was, of course, the date that they went on strike, the day that I had pre-planned forever. Yeah, so. Okay, so packaging week was great. We love packaging week. It's the funnest. It's so much fun. We basically collect an Advent. So True North was the first one that we did. We bring True North into the room. We have stations. The tissue's out, the string is out, the cards are out, the handmade seed tag labels are long done, labels are all in the back. We are like so organized. We are so ready to go. And I sit there, and remember those 55-gram sheets I told you guys about? I'm splitting them and I'm weighing them. And I'm making sure no one's getting less than 25 grams, although most people are getting more than 25 grams, right? So, yeah, Kaylee, that's what I'll do. Listen, guys, I had this planned. Don't go on strike right now. Don't you know? It's been on my schedule since January. So I split those bats weigh them, and then wrap it up into a little nugget, shove it into a little teacup, and pass it off to the people who are actually wrapping and putting the tag in. And then they go into a basket each day. We do one day at a time. It gets labeled, goes into a basket, pull out the next day. I'm splitting, I'm weighing, I'm wrapping up the little bundles. We keep them in little cups because it just keeps the bundle together. If I just put the bundle on the table, it can like furl open like these ones can. You need them quite tight to get them into the tissue. So I'm wrapping and I'm filling up these little cups and passing them to the students who are wrapping, tying with the string, put it in the basket until we build 13 baskets. Once the 13 baskets are built, we add the treasures to the days, and then we put them around the table like you guys saw in my videos. We get our tote bags and we start at day 13, and we work backwards. All the way to the top is day 1, and then that advent goes in the pile. Immediately once all the bags are filled, we put them in the boxes, shut the box, and you write TN on the top of the box for True North. And then we make a pile of boxes in the other room. And then the next day, we get in with the guts, and I sit on the floor, and I've got those big bags I told you guys about that I had saved over here, and I'm weighing out, you know, my 25 grams of wool and my 5 grams of alpaca. My 25 grams of wool, my 5 grams of alpaca, and I'm weighing, and I'm passing blobs to students. These ones were harder to wrap, and they're, you know, these ones we had to shove into little tiny Ziploc bags. So I'm down on the floor just with a scale. I'm just weighing. It's all I did all day long. I'm weighing out wool. And the guts people get a little bit more because we have carder losses and carder tax. We've talked about that. They get a slightly heavier advent than the carded people. And weighing, same system though. And then the card goes in and the string goes on. It goes into the basket for day 1. Treasures get applied, same order, same wools as the other True North. And then we get our bags and we go around in the circle, load up the bags, put them in a box, TN guts. Writing on the outside of the box goes into the pile. No mistakes can be made with this system because we're doing one day at a time. And we don't open another day until that one day is done. We put all those tags away, all those labels away, then bring out the tags and labels for the next one. And we all found our rhythms and we just got through it. Delightful. I wrapped a little bit with my friend Angel. I wrapped a little bit with Thursday friend. And otherwise I wrapped Delightful myself. I probably did the first 8 days alone, which is a lot of work because I had 4 people working on the first 2 days and it was kind of like me. And so I'm splitting it, I'm weighing it, I'm wrapping it, and filling up the baskets. It just took a lot longer. And then Thursday was the last day of packaging, and that's when Thursday friend showed up and I cried. And then her and I finished Delightful, applied the treasures, loaded the bags, filled the boxes, wrote Delightful, and they went away. So at that point, I started shipping. She went home. Aaron was still out of town. Kids are all busy. I'm like, I'm going to start shipping my Canadians because I knew I was going to go courier, and I knew no matter what, they hadn't actually announced the terms of the strike, but we knew it was coming Friday. And it was going to be at midnight Eastern Standard Time, which is 9 o'clock my time. I would be able to check and see what the parameters, but the whole country was sort of expecting it was going to be this rotating strike, meaning that the union would actually call a strike, and it would be what was the word? Intermittent, what was the word? They had a word they were telling us, we were all reading, every little business in Canada is watching this, right? Because it matters. It matters. Rotating, thank you, Melanie, rotating. We were all reading that it was gonna be a rotating strike. So that it might take longer to get your parcels to people, but they'd still get there. And I'm shipping on the 15th. And that's when I was kind of telling you guys, like, listen, I'm gonna stick to my plan. And we're just gonna like roll with it. And if we have to start the advent a little later altogether, we'll start a little later, you know, and like we'll do just 12 days in a row. And so I came on the internet and I'm acting all cool about it. There's really nothing I can do, but like we're all watching it. All of us little makers are like, shoot, right? Like, dang it. And because it's hard. I know Canada Post. That's the system I know. It works. It integrates with my Shopify. I know my Shopify shipping system. Biggest project of my year, the most money, the most volume, and I got to figure out a new way to ship it. Shipping is a big part of the business. So I'm shipping probably like 200 packages a month, and logistics is tough, and I am the shipper. It's me, right? Like So like I'm getting ready to ship sommelier, and it's all in bins. I can show you guys. Well, I can't actually because it's a secret club, but I have these huge tote bins, and like it's ready for me to sit at this computer for hours and just ship it, combine orders, refund shipping overages, work out customs declarations, blah, blah, blah. But if you have to do that on a brand new system on your biggest project of the year, it's a little stressful. So I started out by doing all my Canadian orders because I knew I was going courier and nothing would be interrupted. And I had just started my Americans because I live so near to the US border. It usually takes a business day for Canada Post to get my stuff to USPS, to get it to the customs place. Like there's a couple hubs it goes to. Usually takes 1 to 2 business days, and my stuff, like from the time I drop it at the post office to where my stuff is in America, and then USPS takes over and delivers it. It's not here for very long, and so I thought, okay, well, rotating, let's say 2 days is a week. Oh well, it's still, I'll send everything express, and like USPS Express, I'll send a little quicker, it'll all still get there. And then Thursday night, I'm like 25 Americans done, and I open up the internet, and it's not a rotating strike. It's a full-on lockout. Like, they are not accepting new mail. No. I was like, oh, dang it. Like, and in that moment, it's like midnight. It's 11. I should have checked it at 9. I could have saved myself 2 hours. And I just went, okay. Might have given it some double middle finger guns to my computer screen. I just flicked out the lights and I went to bed. And I thought, this is tomorrow Melissa's problem. And then woke up in the morning, and that's when I had my slightly unhinged eating chocolate off the floor in the morning in my house coat Instagram post. Because I'm like, we're gonna figure it out. So right before I went to bed, I signed up for an account with a third party. They didn't let me start right away. I had to talk to an account supervisor. This guy calls me Friday morning. He is so lovely. He's so nice. He's giving me recommendations. He wants to know my volume and whatever. And because I'm not a high volume shipper by any means, okay? But I do hit the good tier for discounts. And so one of a gooder tier. So anyway, they set me up, and then I just was like, all right, okay, we're going to do this. I'm just going to trust that this system's going to work and that my parcels are actually going to get through, and that I'm going to learn where all the boxes are for HS codes and customs things and blah, 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 and weights and measures. I know the one on my Shopify so well, and now I'm learning a brand new system, and I'm tired, and you know, anyway, so I did it. I avoided all my other labels out of Shopify, and I went over to this new system, and I learned that FedEx is reliable. And I just scooted, got them done. I got them all done. I was done by like 8 o'clock at night, so I shipped absolutely all day. It was a little slower because it was a new system, and I just was like triple checking everything to make sure. Like 30, okay? Over checking everything that I possibly could to make sure that I wasn't doing it wrong, because I'm not shipping my biggest project of the year wrong. What if it doesn't get through customs? What if they all come back to me and then I had to pay shipping twice, and that's gonna cost me so much money, and all these things I'm thinking of. So anyway, got it done. And then look at me, I'm actually getting anxious thinking about it again. While this is happening, I'm actively talking to people like Melanie Allaire, like who's on here, like Megan from Bramble Ridge, like all these other people, and we're kind of resource sharing all us little Canadian businesses. We're resource sharing because, like, who did you call? You're going ClickShip. Oh, you're going, what's the other one? There were Chit Chats, and you're doing this, and okay, and this one's Sendle, and how's it going for you, and blah, blah, blah. And we're all kind of like, what are you doing? Did it work? I went ClickShip because Holly from Tofino Knit Co., who saw all this coming, she was like, screw it, I'm not doing this. I'm just click shipping. So she click shipped everything earlier. So I went with that because I'm like, well, if her parcels arrived, mine are going to arrive, right? But it's scary. And I was watching your guys' shipments go the whole time. When things got through customs, I was like, oh, like, okay, I did it right. But it wasn't like, you know, I don't know the system, so I didn't trust it. So Aaron gets home. Okay, no. So I finished shipping at around 8. And then I went right over to the wait list, and I started building my trash vents. I started determining what I had extra. I did all these listings on my site. I got that all ready, and I let the first batch of people in that night to the wait list. There's my mistake. Should have waited to breathe. But we started the wait list then. I had 85 people on a wait list. I had a decent amount of product, and so I thought we're just going to begin because then I can get all the shipping done at once. Then I went psychotic cleaning my house. I went crazy cleaning my house. I cleaned in a full sweat. I washed walls. I was like, I needed my house back. And so I went psycho. So Aaron gets off a plane from Texas. He gets home around 10:30 at night. And I literally have a telescoping mop and I'm power scouring my walls. It was nuts. It was like a release. I'm like, I'm not waking up one more day to chaos. I'm not. I'm doing it now. And so I psychotically cleaned my house, fell into bed, and then on Cali, tennis fiber, where I got the chit chats. Okay, because I'm doing chit chats for the first time for sommelier. Otherwise, shipping is unreasonable for sommelier. I'm not charging you all $35 to get, anyway. Okay, so Saturday, Aaron pulls the truck up to the front of the house and we load the whole back of his truck with the Advent and we drive off to FedEx. And we get to FedEx and they say a big sign on the door, we're only taking 5 parcels at a time. And I'm like, per customer. I'm like, what? I have 90 something parcels out in this truck right now. They're going out today, right? Like, I'm like, hey, hello, what? But I'm being really nice. I'm being nice about it. I'm being so nice about it because of its policy and they're being overwhelmed. But we drove to like the distribution center. We didn't just go to like Sam's FedEx outlet. I went to like the major hub in our area thinking that that would be the best, safest bet. So I'm like, 5, hey, okay, fair. Like you posted it, fair. Curious though, like, is this a policy that's like FedEx wide, like all your locations are doing it? Because I'm just gonna start doing some math and figure out how many locations I gotta get to drop off 5 parcels at a time. They're going out today. And so then the girl's like, well, hold on, let me just go into the back for a second. She goes into the back and she's gone for about 5 minutes. And then she comes back out with this big dolly. If you saw the picture of me with the big green cart covered in boxes, she's like, we'll take them. I'm like, really? Really? And she's like, yeah, we'll take them. She goes, because if you actually do go around today and drop off to all the other hubs, they're going to get picked up by a truck and just end up back here today. She goes, so we might as well just take them now. And she was really nice about it. I was so grateful to her because I was a little bit on the edge. I had this like twitchy eye. So they took them all. And that's when Aaron got the picture and I'm kind of slumped. And I'm like, you know, whatever I'm doing. And I posted it. I'm like, I felt so good. I also made her look at all my labels. Is this right? Did I do this right? Does this look right? And she's like, yeah, this looks like a normal FedEx label. I'm like, okay. Because I don't know. What if I signed up for some third-party scam? I don't know. So anyway, FedEx was gone. We went to UPS. We did the same thing. And I went home and I went to bed till Tuesday. That's what happened. That was packaging week. That is your Advent, folks. I went to bed till Tuesday. Oh, that's another thing. I have a chronic illness, okay? And it can be triggered by many things. And one of them is like stress and tiredness. And so on the Thursday where I started to cry to Thursday friend was the first day I was really feeling unwell. Anyway, so I went to bed till Tuesday. The end. That's it. That's all I got. That's the end. Oh, and then I started doing all of the waitlist bats. So it wasn't really the end. I got out of bed, took a day or two, and then, what was it? A Murphy's Law. When that girl told me she was taking 5 parcels, I was like, I'm gonna pee on your floor. I'm gonna stand right here. I'm gonna pee on this carpet as punishment to all of you. Like that's why I had no other recourse, nothing else I could do, but I'm like, I'm gonna stand here and pee. That was the only thing I could think of. So, but in my head, but on my face, I was like, oh, totally, policy, totally get it, yes. And like they're also responding like I am to an unforeseen event that happened the day before. What are you gonna do? You know, I'm never a jerk, by the way. I'm never a jerk to any service people anywhere ever. And so I was just like, okay, fair. So are all the locations doing this? Because I'm going to like just drive to like 15 of them today, I guess, or however 10. I don't know how many I got to go. And then they were so reasonable, right? Well, they're going to end up here anyway, so just leave them here. I'm like, yes, thank you. Okay. Then we started coming in and making these mega bat blends. So my wait listers, the Advent's done now, I can talk about it. The wait listers have their stuff. I did a Delightful blend and I did a True North blend. Those were actually kind of a pre-order. I knew based on weight and from already working with the fleece what I could sort of offer. And I basically took 3 fleece from each Advent. And then the True North had 30% alpaca from 3 different alpacas, and I made sure everything was a different. So they got 6 provinces for True North, which was kind of cool. And then for Delightful, I just grabbed the fine wools I had left and added, what went into that one? Into Delightful, they got the silk, they got the peduncle, they got the mink, and they got shoot. There was one other exotic that went from the Advent that I had left that went in there. I didn't do the wallaby or the dog because I was like, 1 25-gram day of that, like if you hate it, you can survive. But like, I don't know if I want to put that into like 40 bats just in case. What the heck was the other? Was it the alpaca? I think it might have been the alpaca. I can't remember now. There's probably no waitlisters on here that got the Delightful waitlist bat, did you? Anyway, 3 exotics, silk, something else, and the mink. You were the silk, you were the mink. Oh, cashgora. It was the cashgora. Never mind. It was the peduncle, the cashgora, and the mink with the fine wools. And boy, was it nice. Both bats came out very similar colored. They were both like real smoky deep grays. And so first thing that went was trash vents. You guys are hilarious buying those trash vents. Those were really fun to make. And then I had some fiber only Advents. I had actually 3 full guts Advents with treasures and no, guts fiber only. I had 2 extra True North Advents. There was a couple of things that I had that were like full Advents, partial Advents, and the trash vents. And I was offering kind of a pre-order, ships at the end of November on these blended bats. And it was interesting to see that process of people coming. It took me 2 weeks to get through the wait list. Kaylee's commenting about boobs. Yeah, just approve all Kaylee's, all Kaylee's. Took me 2 weeks to get through the Advent, and I got through almost everybody. I think there was 10 people I didn't have anything for, but that was a lot. And I just was letting like 3 people in at a time. And someone's just finished playing day 13. Yay! Good skein, hey? Good skein. We love Crow Hill and we love Kiviot. Okay, so they, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah. It was interesting to see people come in who, there were still like Advents left. Like the trash vents went almost immediately to the people who got in. And then there were still like full Advents and people would choose like the blended bat. I kind of liked having that option where you can sort of like taste and try the Advent in sort of a different way. There are Advent wools, but maybe not the huge price commitment that you can find in an Advent. So I just put the days they had, I put what it was, and I wrote shh at the top, like shh, don't tell the Advent people, because it said the day. Like this is the Hans the Rambouillet was in there and he's day so-and-so, and this was day 6 and this was day 12. So they could kind of get an idea and be a part of the experience without having it all individual. They just had it as a real blend, which I thought was kind of nice. And it was a good way to be able to include more people when I couldn't make more Advents, right? So I will definitely do that again next year. The waitlist shopping experience was also restful. Even for me, it was admin, right? 2 weeks of like messaging people and letting people in and giving them passwords or whatever, but like it went pretty seamless. It was easy. And then we made all those bats and shipped them. The end. And then we immediately got to work on Sommelier, and then we immediately got to work on a secret chaos shop update. And then I'm doing these lives, and now we're done. This was the last one. It's so long and juicy. This is such a long ad, such a long live. I'm watching my son out the window right now. He's got Shaba in the field, and Shaba's looking fine, and his tail is waggy, and he's sniffing everything in the field. So we're all good. Okay. And I do have time off for the holidays. Jessica's just asking. I'm officially off as of Monday. If that tells anybody anything about my sneaky update, which I need to get to work on. I need to get to work. I need to start carding. You guys should see this color I made last night. We're calling it Wildflower because it's like, it's green, but it's super happy. It's super happy. Got one that looks like a mermaid. The mermaid one's really pretty. You guys have been seeing the blue one. So we got some more carding to do today, so I gotta get to work. And then I'm going to, during my break, I'm going to spin. So I'll finish my own advent real soon and post some pictures and stuff. And then during my holidays, I'm going to be spinning Melanie Allaire's advent. So I got Melanie Allaire's Apothecary Advent, obviously opened up the whole entire thing, like immediately. It's beautiful. So she's going to be my holiday spin for, let's announce it, you guys are going to be the first to hear, Dashel Through the Snow. December 26th to 31st, we're doing Dashel Through the Snow. There is no point other than community and fun, connection, sharing, cheering each other on, just like the Stash Dashers. You can knit, you can crochet, you can spin, you can sew, you can paint, whatever kind of craft you're doing. We're just going to celebrate it during that kind of, I call it like the dead zone, like that week between the holidays, like, you know, where you kind of got this like, you've kind of got this fun nothing. For me, I have fun nothing, although we are going to, we are going to definitely be acknowledging that people are still working during the holidays, and that's going to appear in some of the art. Every day I will be doing a giveaway, and it's going to be custom totes and fibers and stitch markers and all sorts of really cool things just for the fun of it. You don't even have to do anything to be a part of the giveaway other than put your name on a giveaway list, and I'm going to spin the Whoop of Fortune. Jessica, dang, I'm on the night shifts. Okay, I need to speak to that. Marina from Batty Fibers is doing 6 individual images. They're really sweet for Dashel Through the Snow, and one of them is Dashel by lamplight with a hello, my name is Dashel, you know, on a uniform, just got off work and is kind of getting any precious moments he can crafting during this season. So you are represented. You got your night shifts and you might only have 5 seconds or maybe none, just so you know. Like, it's not, I know it's not everybody's dead week, but basically it's just going to be fun. And it's also a way for me to say thank you. Like, you don't have to do anything to be a part of this. You don't have to sign up. You don't have to like or follow anybody. There's nothing you have to do. I'm going to put out a Google Doc just so people can put their names for the Whoop of Fortune. And otherwise, it's just going to be reposting and sharing and making. And there's going to be gorgeous custom art. Marina's art looks insane. And we're going to get to see Dashel in all these really cute ways. And it's just going to be these 6 days of like gentle and fun for anybody who wants to participate. Dashel Through the Snow is coming December 26th. So I'll announce it on Instagram real soon, a couple days, you know, from now, but you guys know, whoever gets to the end of this extraordinarily long live is going to know it first. So there you go. We're going to do Dashel Through the Snow. And I can't wait, and wait till you see the totes, because there's different art for every day, and I'm having that different art go on different totes, and I'm going to fill up old extra advent boxes I have and then get them out, and I'm really excited. So my Dashel Through the Snow is going to be Melanie Allaire's Advent. That's what I'm going to spin, and I can't wait. I'm saving it for that. So lots of rest coming up, lots of tea, lots of all those kinds of things. So we have come then now naturally to the end. We've come to the end of Delightful 2024 Advent Lore. The end of our spinning, talking about it, making it. For everything I just said about making the Advent, yes, there was a higher level of difficulty, but I loved it. I would 10/10 do it again. Just give me a week, let's go. Let's do it again, right? Like, I didn't feel burdened going into creating Somalia right away. I was really excited to actually, because I made a super cool bat for Origins this month. I made a super cool bat. I actually have 2 extra. I got to figure out what I'm doing with those, but I really like what I did with Origins. It was very transformational. It was very interesting. So I was really interested, invested, and now making this chaos update, it's like healing. It's healing the color need in me, where I've been with natural wools for so long and not being able to show anybody anything for so long, that having like boom color and boom sharing, I'm like, woo, like I feel all new again, right? Because I couldn't show you guys anything forever. It was all a secret. Well, this isn't a secret. I'm going to be like, look at this one and look at this one and look at these colors, and everybody come look, look, look. And I'm posting and color and excited and everything else. Okay, come to the end. I am monstrously grateful, huge, big grateful for every shepherd who takes care of these animals in all their various ways and ethics and everything else, and gets them to me. I'm grateful for all these alpaca people. It was so awesome. I'm grateful to all of my friends in the different provinces who helped me locate wool and alpaca, who went and got it for me, who mailed it to me, who gave me their recommendations, who shopped in person, all of these things. I'm grateful for all of my fiber friends who share their knowledge and who are like just so open about here's what I found out and here's what I know and here's what I do. And I'm really grateful for all my student helpers and my friends who, like Nellie and Thursday friend, who come out and like help me and like work here and all that other kind of stuff. Just very, very grateful, very helped, very supported. This isn't the Melly show. This isn't something that I do alone at all. Cute little Emily's downstairs right now picking wool because we're gonna card it today and get this secret shop update out, and like it's gonna be great. We're gonna have loud, vibey music today. I'm really into the Bob Moses right now. I love EDM, electronic dance music, and so the Bob Moses Somewhere in Between album. Ooh, I just have it on repeat. We're gonna just be getting down today, carding some color. It's gonna be great. Shabba, stop puking. I'm gonna sleep later. It's gonna be awesome. So very special experience. Loved meeting the new shepherds, loved meeting all the new businesses, loved working with all the makers and letting other people craft and choose too. You know what I mean? Like, here's a vibe, go for it with your color. It was really cool. And 10 out of 10 experience. Definitely have notes for next year of things that will make it easier for me. And this is the point, isn't it? We dive into stuff, we do stuff, and we learn. It's not all executed perfectly. It's not. Sometimes it's a little bit of a gong show. Sometimes you eat a dilly bar in the tub in the middle of the day. And then you get back to work because that's what we do and it's fun and we love it. And so there it is. But I definitely made notes for myself for next year of what will make things easier for me. And otherwise, I'm definitely coming back next year with Delightful. Definitely. I already got a fleece reserved for Delightful. Oh, it's going to be a good one. It's not going to be your typical think with a fine wool. And already have some of the fleece here for True North. We're definitely doing those again this year, and I'm just humming. I can't get this brain worm out on this third Advent I want to do. It's for later. That one's going to ruminate. I'm probably going to do it. But anyway, so that's what's happening. Okay, I'm going to go to work. I so appreciate you guys hanging out all morning. Hey, Car, you know Bob Moses. I love Bob Moses. I so appreciate you guys hanging out for this whole morning. I have loved doing this. And I'm going to see you back on lives in January because we're going to begin sommelier lore. Sommelier lore will begin in January, where we're going to talk through the fleece and the blends, especially after I just did this one for December. I really want to show you, I want to talk about it because it was surprising to me. And so we're going to talk about some sommelier lore, and that's that. Okay. I feel like I'm doing the thing where you're walking away, but you keep looking back, but I'm going to go. I'm going to go. So kisses, lovelies. Love to you all. It's done. Okay. I'm going. Goodbye.